Yo, what's up? Hello, everyone. It's Coach Renz going live today, continuing our journey on what's wrong with the Bible, Genesis. We're in chapter 47 and 48. So I want to thank everybody for joining for this live, who's already going to join, those who are watching in replay. It takes us about 5 minutes or so before we get started. Going to do a little bit of a recap from last week of our Genesis story. What are we coming off of? So we're doing 47, 48. So we're coming off of 45, 46 of Genesis. But today is 47, 48. And if you really want to learn how to wreck an economy, that is what the Bible going to teach us today. How to wreck an economy. But you're going to see a similarity in that. In the same way that Joseph is going to wreck the Egyptian economy, create an even huger divide between the rich and the poor, basically give America the blueprint, give the world the blueprint. I mean, it was something that was already been done, but give a blueprint of how to keep the rich rich, keep the poor poor, make slaves of your own people, sharecropping, and the actions that are taken. Let's just for a brief moment say this story was true. No, I know the 12 tribes are not real. That's what we're doing. That's why it's called What's Wrong with the Bible. But, stay tuned, sir. Or I don't know if you're sir or ma'am. But, hey, Debbie. What up, Derek? Let me know where you at, where you from. But we're going to see how. But there's one main part that we're going to get to where you can really see that this story is taken. We've talked about this thing before with Joseph and how his story is taken from an Egyptian story, and they use that as a backdrop, but how the years just don't match. And we're going to cover that as well in chapter 47 and 48. Excuse me for a brief second. We in Greenville. Miss Prissy, how you doing? Hey, Debbie. Tangy, how you doing? Derek. Who else we got? But yeah. You're from the Netherlands, but born in the Antilles. All right. Light this up, and then we're going to get started. I know somebody's going to be here at the Cigar Lounge at 12 o'clock. So, we're going to go our normal way. We're going to read through these two chapters, break down a lot of things of the chapter. Then we're just going to have open forum, question, answer, whatever. I do need to change a couple things. And as you guys know, I'm the owner of Uncle Renz Popcorn and Smoking Phoenix Cigar Lounge. So that is why I will smoke my cigars. Let me see if I can get this right real quick on TikTok. I like to set TikTok up just in case there's additional conversation towards the end. If I ever remember how the heck I did it. Oh, yeah, that's what I did. There we go. Now, remember, people are going to stay on subject for the first part. For the first two chapters, we stay on subject. Other questions can be asked and answered thereafter. I got you, Tangy. That's because I know somebody. I've known somebody before named Tangy. That's why I know it. No, that's how you say that name. From Florida. What about in Florida? Debbie's in Texas. Let me get myself. All right. So we know that the story ended last week with with the boy, with our boy Joseph here. Finally meeting his brothers, finally having his what up, Pop Soul? Finally having his father brought to him, his daddy, revealing that, okay, Dad, I'm still alive, and all this kind of happy nonsense. Then it ended by him telling his brothers, go, I'm gonna get y'all in Goshen. I'm gonna hook y'all up. I'm gonna hook y'all up, y'all family. Even though you tried to kill me, even though you sold me into slavery. Remember, he went ahead and said, well, God did it. Y'all didn't do it. So that I can have a remnant. We can get a remnant here in Egypt. But I've heard certain things preached about these next 2 chapters. That this had to happen in order for the Exodus to happen so that the story can continue. Basically, so the story can happen. Even though Joseph does some jacked up stuff in this chapter, these 2 chapters, it had to happen so that the story can happen, right? So we know that Joseph at the end of 46 was telling his brothers what to say when they get in front of Pharaoh. So he was, making sure they said the right thing, because we had already previously learned that for Egyptians to even eat at the same table with let me change that. For them to even eat at the same table with Hebrew people, that was detestable to Egyptians. And then we learn in 46 that Egyptians also found shepherds to be detestable. So Joseph told his brothers, let them know y'all some shepherds, because I want y'all in Goshen. So he did some smooth criminal stuff a couple of times with his brother, Jacksonville, Florida. My sister's in Jacksonville, Florida. So we're gonna go. Let's roll. Then we get to question and answers at the end. But if you have some questions pertaining to the subject matter during it, let's go ahead and throw it up there. Hopefully I catch all of them, because we got Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. If you want to support the channel in other ways, greatly appreciated, through stars, through donations, through purchasing from Uncle Renz Popcorn or Cigar Lounge. However you want to do it, fine with me. All right, so Joseph went to Pharaoh, went and told Pharaoh, my father and his brothers with their flocks and herds and everything they own have come to the land of Canaan and are now in Goshen. He chose 5 of his brothers and presented them before Pharaoh. So he just brought 70 people. Remember the last time we was talking about it, they couldn't figure out the actual count with the 60-something. It was 60-something people, then it was 70 people, but the numbers didn't add up. But he brought 70-some odd people to Egypt, right? Now they're already in a famine, and there's a famine supposedly going all over the place. Now, if you recall, we went over the fact that King Joseph of the Pharaoh King Joseph, in 1,000 years prior to this story should have happened, if it ever happened, which it didn't happen. But 1,000 years prior, there was a 7-year famine in Egypt with Imhotep, where Imhotep and Joseph read the dream to go down the river, go up the Nile River and reestablish the worship of Khnum, or the temple, reestablish the temple of Khnum, and then Khnum opened the river valley, and then the flood ended. So that's the only 7-year period flood in Egyptian history, through geologists, through actual science. That's what this story is based off of. I'm going to get a little bit more into that later. But he says that they're now in Goshen. And one of the interesting things about Goshen is that Goshen is an area that is up in the Nile Delta area. So like if you're coming through the Mediterranean and you're getting ready you go over the top of the northern part of Egypt, the river splits into a whole bunch of swampy little deltas. That's where Goshen is up in that area, before the Suez Canal and all that kind of stuff. So just to give you a map orientation, that they're in northeastern Egypt is where they're located. But so he's brought some more people, because all the world is coming to Egypt, because Egypt is the only place they got some food, because they're right there on the Nile Valley. Why is it telling my battery running low? Hold on, people. I'm gonna lose TikTok. For some reason my laptop wasn't charging. I didn't want to lose. There we go. Sorry. Where we at? Bam, bam, bam. Oh, so Pharaoh asked his brothers, what is your occupation? Your servants are shepherds, they replied to Pharaoh, just as our fathers were. They also said to him, we have come to live here for a while because the famine is severe in Canaan, and your servants' flocks have no pasture. So now, please let your servants settle in Goshen. Now, that's exactly what Joseph told him to say to Pharaoh, because he knew that shepherds were like, eh. So they said exactly what they were scripted to say. Pharaoh said to Joseph, your father and your brothers have come to you, and the land of Egypt is before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best part of the land. Let them live in Goshen. And if you know of any among you with special abilities, put them in charge of my own livestock. So we got the swerve goes even a little deeper. Get the best land, and you got Pharaoh saying you're gonna take care of my livestock as well. So if you're taking care of the king's stuff, that puts you in a prominent position. So this thing up so that his brothers come. Joseph already got himself as the most powerful guy next to Pharaoh in Egypt. And since he controls the food, he relatively is the most powerful person in Egypt, according to this story. Now he set his brothers up to control the Pharaoh's livestock. This plays a part a little bit later that enriches Joseph and his brothers by them being put in charge of Pharaoh's livestock. Watch how this swerve and how bad government works. Then Joseph brought his father, but we got to get through some of this preliminary bullshit first. Then Joseph brought his father, Jacob, in. And I don't know if his name supposed to be Israel by now, but Jacob in, and presenting him before Pharaoh. And after Jacob blessed Pharaoh, Pharaoh asked him, how old are you? Now, some people try to take this as Jacob blessing Pharaoh, meaning that Pharaoh is submitting himself to Jacob's version of God, but it's not. I've heard this being preached. Have you ever seen like some medieval movie or something like that, and somebody else comes in and they're like, praise, bless you, bless you, and they're not accepting, they just accept the good tithing, the good will, the good idea. They're not accepting that Pharaoh is saying that I'm worshiping your God because Jacob blessed me. It's just like if you walk into a king's court, you're gonna say honors to whomever the king is, and that's it. And that's how that just goes. But I've heard a pastor try to preach that, and I was like, nah, bro, that is not what that means. But Pharaoh asked him, how old are you? And Jacob said to Pharaoh, the years of my pilgrimage is 130 years. My years he's young, according to this Bible. My years have been few and difficult, and they do not equal the years of the pilgrimage of my fathers. Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from his presence. You see, so the blessing twice is a way of coming in and a way of coming in and a way of going out. And that is all that happened in that chapter. In that aspect, it's just him coming in, blessing, and going out in the same way, as a way of respect and honor towards the person who's in charge, which is Pharaoh. But it wasn't Pharaoh except things was preached once. And maybe I'm the only person who's ever heard somebody preach that. I don't know. But that's what happened. So Joseph settled his father and his brothers in Egypt and gave them property in the best part of the land, the district of Ramses, as Pharaoh directed. Joseph also provided his fathers and his brother with all his father's household with food according to the number of their children. Now, this is an interesting part. Okay, y'all walk with me for a second. So we know that the only 7-year famine in the history of Egypt happened during the reign of King Joseph. King Joseph's reign was around 2600 BCE. This story about Joseph, if you track it for its time frame, based on who begat who and who lived this long and who lived that long, Joseph would have happened in and around 17 to 1600 BCE. In that time frame, clearly almost 1,000 years after the actual famine that happened in Egypt, that didn't have nothing to do, and there was no Hebrews around at that time frame. 4,000 years. The next part that indicate now the fact that he said they settled in the district of Ramses. Ramses did not reign in Egypt until 1290, and around 1290 BCE. And the city of Ramses, the district of Ramses, was founded in 1292 BCE. Right. So what this indicates is that the whomever wrote this, when they wrote this, whoever wrote it, they are clearly writing this after the reign of Ramses, after the 1200s BCE. They're writing this like hundreds of years, if not 1,000 years, after the story supposedly happened, because they already know that there's a city of Ramses. They give a later indication that this was written much later anyway, because they said this law is still in place. There's a law that they're going to talk about that's still in Egypt today, meaning the day that they're writing it. So we are supposed to trust a book to be valid, historical, to be truth, that a dude wrote 100, maybe 1,000 years after the story supposedly happened, based on knowledge of another story that happened 1,000 years before that. And with all the hearsay, she say, political ramblings and power struggles, we're supposed to accept that. And there's a clear indication here that this story is written with vast amounts of time in between it. So how can they authenticate the accuracy? This is why this story never tells you who the Pharaoh is. You notice it just keeps saying Pharaoh, Pharaoh, Pharaoh. A lot of the Old Testament does that. It just says Pharaoh, Pharaoh, Pharaoh. They won't admit who the Pharaoh is. And when they did admit who the Pharaoh is in Exodus with your boy Moses, when you look at the time frame, stories don't match up. The time frame still don't match up. So they neglect to tell you who the Pharaoh is, because they know they just saying it. They know if they told you who the Pharaoh writing it, they had more accurate history of what was going on, and you would be able to check it. It's just like right now, if you wrote a story and you named an American president, we can check to validate, did this happen during that American presidency? If that president, if it didn't, then but if you just said during the time of, back in the day, the president of the United States came and gave me a silver dollar, and I took that silver dollar and I built this business. If I just say the president, you don't know what era I'm talking about. That's why this book consistently just says Pharaoh. That's why it's only saying Pharaoh. But it just showed us that whoever wrote this is writing it based on a 4,000 year gap of two different events that happened that they knew about. So, as I said before, we're taking information from a dead dude who wrote about something that had 1,000 years of history before it, and then another 1,000 years of history before it, and compiling it all together. Right? Moses is a ghostwriter, because he died and then his story was still being written. Exactly. So we continue with Joseph and the famine. So there was no food. Now we're going to get into this shacked up government, and y'all gonna see some parallels in how governments work and this BS that's about to happen. There was no food, however, in the whole region, because the famine was severe. Both Egypt and Canaan wasted away because of the famine. Joseph collected all the money that was found in Egypt and Canaan in payment for grain they were buying, and he brought it to Pharaoh's palace. Now remember, in the previous, he said it's going to be a famine. He said going to have 7 years of good, 7 years of famine. Joseph came in and taxed the people on their grain that they was growing. So if you grew 100 bushels, he took 20%, 20%. He stored that up. Now, good government would say, I'm going to store that up, and when the famine comes, I'm going to give it to the people, right? Good government. because he was storing it up. He knew it was going to happen. No. Joseph collected the people's grain, and then when the famine hit, sold the people back the grain that they grew, as if the government came in and grew it, as if the government was providing for them. And just right there, he's saying that, and he took all the money and brought it to Pharaoh's palace because he collected money. So really, you grew something, paid taxes on it, then you're paying for the taxes that you paid. You're paying again. You double tax on this so that you can live. So he took all the money to Pharaoh's palace. And Canaan, and Pharaoh's palace. When the money of the people of Egypt and Canaan was gone, all Egypt came to Joseph and said, "Give us food. Why should we die before your eyes? Our money is all gone." Joseph, I'm storing all this stuff that I took from you. I took all your money to give you back what you grew. This joker then go say, "Then bring me your livestock," said Joseph. I will sell you food in exchange for your livestock, since your money is gone. He done took all their money. The famine, which is caused by this drought, is killing. They can't grow shit hardly. Now he not took their money. Now he's saying, "Give me your livestock. Give me your value. Give me what you got. Give me what you got." So now, is this not how our government tends to act? This is not how rich people tend to act. Our government taxes us. And then when you want to go get educated so that you can have a better life, the government says, "Okay, we'll give you some money, but you're going to have to pay extra interest." "Okay, we'll give you a loan. We'll back it by the government, but you're going to have to pay interest. You're going to have to pay for it. We're going to tax the shit out you your whole life. But when you want something from us, we're going to make you pay for it. And matter of fact, we're going to keep you held to it so that we can keep you in economic slavery." Let's go. Let's see if Joseph, maybe he has a change of heart, though. Maybe he gets better. Let's see. So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and he gave them food in exchange for their horses, their sheep, their goats, their cattle, their donkeys. And he brought them through that year with food in exchange for all their livestock. Now, Joseph knew good and goddamn well there was only 5. I think at this point, they're only like 3 years into this drought. 3-4 years into this drought, into this famine. He didn't know a year is not enough. It's not enough food. No, they're 5 years in. And he knows that that's not enough. They got 2 more years. And he gave him 1 year purposely to give him 1 year. Why do you give him 1 year? It's like a crackhead. It's like a drug dealer. I'm going to give you a little bit. I'm going to get you on the comeback. Here come the comeback. Watch the comeback of what he does after he gave them food for 1 year. All right. When that year was over, they came to him the following year and said, "We cannot hide from our Lord the fact that since our money is gone and our livestock belongs to you, there is nothing left for our Lord except our bodies and our land. Why should we perish before your eyes? We and our land as well. Buy us and our land in exchange for food, and we with our land will be in bondage to Pharaoh. Give us seed so that we may live and not die, and that the land may not become desolate." So these people have given up their money. First they was taxed, then they gave up their money, then they gave up their livestock. So they ain't got nothing. Now they're giving up their bodies and their land, becoming slaves to Pharaoh, giving up all their land so that it is now can be owned by the government. Kind of like how in America, when people say, "I own my house," no, you don't. Stop paying taxes on it. We're going to see who owns your house. We'll see real quick who owns your house if you stop paying your taxes, because you don't own it. You don't. You just keeping it from the government. The government is allowing you to lease it for a very small amount in taxation, but you don't own it. So, but if you think about this, Where was that part? There was a part that hit my brain, then I lost it. It'll come back to me. But it was but Joseph, you know, he gonna swear to people. He gonna be good though. He gonna say, nah, we don't want to be. You don't want you to be slaves. So Joseph bought. So Joseph, damn. So Joseph bought all the land in Egypt for Pharaoh, the Egyptians, one and all. So it's not just the Jews that he bought everybody land. The Egyptians, one and all, sold their fields because the famine was too severe for them. The land became Pharaoh's, and Joseph reduced the people to servitude from one end of Egypt to the other. However, he did not buy the land of the priests because they received a regular allotment from Pharaoh and had food enough from the allotment Pharaoh gave them. That is why they did not sell their land. Isn't that so sweet? What does that sound? So so they had a 501c3 before there was a 501c3. What you think? What you teach helps to validate my misgivings about accepting the Bible as the infallible word of God. Thank you. Slaves to the system. Exactly. Now, y'all just heard that part though, right? Who gets a stipend? Now, you would think good government would have been, we got years of plenty. We're storing up. When the people are in need, we're going to give it to the people. Yeah, you still might tax the people on other sales tax or whatever, but we're going to give it to the people because now my people are starving. No, we're going to take from the people. We're going to first go take their money. They will go take their livestock. We're going to take their land and their bodies, and we're going to buy up all the land except for the priest, because the king gives the priest a stipend, gives them money to make sure. There's a deeper connection of this. You give money and give that freedom to the priest, because if the priests are starving, if the priests have issues, the priest is the one organization that can go against the government, rally the people to overthrow the government. But if I pay off the priest like I'm a mob boss, like they the mob, really, I'm paying off the priest to keep them quiet, keep them on my side. Priest, you like that good food you getting? You like the fact that you're getting this monthly stipend? You keep on and you just go out there and you sell the people on hope. You sell the people on God is taking you through something. You know, Amun Ra is taking you through something. Kanun is taking you through something. Yahweh is taking you through something. And he's going to bring you out the other side. You keep telling the people to keep hope, keep faith, keep knowing that Pharaoh is on the throne because whatever deity they believe in put him on the throne, and that through this you are going to come out stronger, because God would not put anything on you that you can't bear. They would tell you that. That's the conversation. That's to keep the priest. That's why the priest, they got a stipend here. The priest ain't got to pay nothing. They getting us. I mean, what the priest pay money? The Pharaoh give priests the money, then the priest just buy them some food with the money that they just got. They don't have to sell their land. But the people, well, to hell with the people. We ain't worried about the people. But old Joseph, who used to be a slave, you would think that he would have learned something, but he did not. Instead, he puts all the Egyptians and all the Canaanites and everybody else in servitude, right? In servitude, except for who? His family, because he put them in Goshen, up in the Nile Delta, where you can still grow crops, where you can still herd cattle and all that sort of thing. And whose cattle is he herding? Whose other cattle? He's herding Pharaoh's cattle. That's what I meant. Well, back up there a little bit. So if you remember at the beginning of the story, because Joseph in 46, Joseph told his brothers to make sure that you tell Pharaoh that y'all just herd sheep and goats. Y'all are shepherds. Don't tell him nothing else that y'all can do. So that when they told Pharaoh that, Pharaoh said, oh shit, we don't like shepherds, but you know, since y'all Joseph brothers, I'm going to let my livestock be taken care of by you. Now, Pharaoh just got a whole bunch of livestock when they bought all the livestock from all the people in Egypt. So according to this story, all the livestock in Egypt is owned by Pharaoh and being taken care of by Joseph's family, Joseph's people. No wonder they were so hated that they became, according to this book, enslaved, because they were the rich off of nepotism. But they were shepherds, so they're detestable to Egyptians. But you see how all of that worked out? You see how all that worked out? How it flowed? That I'm going to tell you to be shepherds, because Joseph knew down the line that the people were going to have to sell their livestock. And he enriched his own family and Pharaoh at the same time. Do we not see this happening in our government? Do we not see this happening in our capitalistic system? And it doesn't matter if it's capitalism. So let me not even say it that way, because I lived in a socialist country. It's the same shit. I spent quite a bit of time in a communist country. It's the same shit. Either way you go, it works out the exact same. Those in power stay in power, take advantage of the poor, and then they will enrich their friends. You just got to become a friend or use the system so that you can get up there, and hopefully you'll do better than Joseph. All right, so he didn't buy the land of the priests. Let's keep going. Joseph said to the people, now that, and let's make it even worse for the people, by the way. Let's just make it worse for the people. Joseph said to the people, now that I have bought you and your land today for Pharaoh, here is seed for you so you can plant the ground, because we're going into this last year of the famine. So he knew the famine was only 7 years. We're going into the last year of the famine. Now I'm going to give you some seed to plant in the ground. The year prior, he just gave them food to eat. Now he's talking about, I'm going to give you some food and some seed to plant, because you know the famine is about to be over, right? Hey, Denise X. But when the crop comes in, give a fifth of it to Pharaoh. The other 4/5 you may keep as seed for your fields and as food for yourselves and your household and your children. To say take a fifth may not sound like a lot, but a fifth is 20%. It's 20%. If you so I own the cigar lounge, right? When I do my taxes, I pay myself in dividend payments. I don't pay myself in W-2. If I pay myself in W-2, then I would be paying like 34-35% taxes. When you pay yourself in dividend payments, you wind up only paying about 18 to 20%, right? So he's taking 20%. Now, most people are out there paying 25, over 20% in your paycheck. Here's your 20%. Here's your 20%. This is the payroll tax that they've taken out on the people who he basically swindled over a 7-year period out of their land, out of their bodies, out of their livestock, out of their money. And now these people have literally become sharecroppers to Pharaoh. When if he was really this great son of Yahweh, if this was a God who was actually trying to teach us a good lesson, would it not have been better to say that Joseph came into Egypt? He read the dream. He was a arrogant ass boy. He got beat up by his brothers, thrown into a well, then sold into slavery, then accused of, but did a good job at Potiphar because he recognized his issue. Did a good job, but then got lied on, thrown into jail. Did a dream, became in charge of Egypt, told him about the 7 years this and 7 years that. And when the people came to him in need, he remembered the time frame he spent, beaten up by his brothers. He remembered the time frame spent as a slave, the time frames the 2 years spent in jail. And when the people came distressed, Joseph had created a system that was able to feed Egypt without taking the people's money, without taking their livestock, and certainly without taking their bodies and their land and putting them in servitude. If this God wanted me to believe this book, then that would have been the story, not a story of extortion, of severe extortion of the people, raping of the people. You wonder why our government, when they say, oh, our government is based on Christianity, I would say yes, because this part of our government is based on Christianity. Hey, I'm going to sell you some land, but I'm going to own the land because I'm the government and I'm going to keep taxes on it. Oh, when we're going through a whole situation, this crisis that we went through with, what was the thing, COVID? Oh, I'm going to give y'all some money, but you're going to have to pay back. Your business is failing because nobody, We, the government, is telling people you can't go outside. Stay in the house. Don't go nowhere. But then all you business owners, we know that that's going to hurt y'all. So we're going to give you some money to keep your business going, to keep jobs, because you got to have a job system going. But then we're going to make you pay this money back. I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, they give you can get forgiveness. That's for a very few small amount of money. All the EDIL, you got to pay that shit back. But which was the larger sum of the money they gave. You got to pay that part back. We created a situation with a virus. We created a situation where y'all can't do business. We're going to give you money, but we're going to make you pay it back so you can save your business. Basically making you a debt slave to the government now. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, that's exactly what Joseph did. If you wanted me to believe this book, oh, Most High, you would have wrote a better story. You would have inspired, my bad. This guy didn't write nothing. You would have inspired a better story. I'm a regular old damn human, and I got a better storytelling of morality than that dude. I mean, think about how many times that happens in this book, that you and your personal, you as a human right now have better morality than this book. Because I'm just wondering if there are people on here who would have said, yeah, hell yeah, let's just rape and pillage the people by taking all their land, taking all their money, taking all their livestock, and making them into indentured servitude. Not indentured servitude, in sharecropping. If you would have done the same thing, you are a detestable human being. But that is what this so-called loving God did. So they got to give 2/5 to Pharaoh. And then people, we got to wake up. People, we got to wake up. Because what these fools say after that? You have saved our lives, they said. May we find favor in the eyes of our Lord. We will be in bondage to Pharaoh. People, humans. You know, I don't know if this story is true or not. It's just a story that I was told. There's no one who can validate whether this happened or not. But they said that, and maybe this is where this guy got the story from. If it did happen, I'm sure this is where he got it from. It was told to me that Stalin, when he first came into power, he was sitting in his office, in his chamber, and he had his generals and council people around him, and he had a chicken and he had a bag, and he didn't say a word, and everybody sitting there, and he starts ripping and tearing the feathers out of the chicken, and the chicken was screaming and hollering, and then he threw the chicken down as a bloody mess on the ground with no feathers hardly, and the chicken is just, in misery and pain. And then Stalin stood up, stepped in front of the chicken, and dropped a few seeds of grain. The chicken pulled itself together, obviously in pain, and began to eat the little bit of scraps that he put on the ground. Then Stalin took a couple of more steps, and he dropped a few more seeds, and the chicken, in all his pain and blood, followed Stalin and ate a little bit more. And then Stalin walked some more and dropped some more. He followed and ate. And then it said that Stalin then turned to his people in charge and said, we can bloody and batter the people as long as we provide them a few pieces of grain, and they will love us for it. If that story is true about Stalin, because like I said, I don't know if the story is true. It's a story that I was told back in the early 90s when I was in Russia. If that story is true, this is the epitome of that story. Joseph and Pharaoh, but mainly Joseph have bloodied and brutalized and taken advantage of the people, and then gave them a few little pieces of grain. And their response is, you have saved our lives, because we'd rather be slaves to Pharaoh than have our freedom. We'd rather not kill you, which is what they should have done, because this famine has been so great. We've given up our land, our money, our livestock, and you've given us some food. And now they think that Joseph has saved them because, like, oh, now we can plant, because Joseph also knows that the 7 years is ending. that this is the 6th year. I mean, the 7th year. It's ending. Next year's crops gonna come in, and guess what you got to do? You got to give Pharaoh a piece of that. So Joseph established it as a law concerning the land in Egypt, still in force today. That little aspect right there also lets you know that this story is not written firsthand eyewitness. This story is not written by anybody who lived during that time frame. This story is written by somebody who's being told this story 1,000 years later, because this type of that tax is still there. That's why it says still in force today. Now, back when it was written, the people back then didn't mind that it was an old story that somebody was telling, and that it was relative. And that is also why he said in the district of Ramses, because the people of the day that is being written would have known that the district of Ramses existed and what it used to be called prior to that. So to them, they would not have cared. So we know that this story could not have been written any sooner than, at the earliest, this could have been written around 1280 BCE is the first time this story could have been written or told, around 1280 BCE, because it would have to been written or told when the district of Ramses was around. Of course, the story is time-wise supposed to have happened around 1700 BCE, which is a hell of a lot older, but it's based on the famine of Djoser, which happened around 2500 BCE. So we know the bullshit. Good morning. What's up from Redding, California? Sounds like a Christian preacher taking tithes. Exactly, but this joker taking 20%. But when you think about the building fund, the tithes, the mission, and they're gonna get you for that 20 or more. Do you think maybe that this is what the writers was trying to interpret? Trying to interpret what? I don't understand that question really, because I don't know what I was saying when you said it. But I think these writers were they knew that they were living, a 7-year famine had happened, and it's all propaganda. And they're trying to give you this history of these 12 tribes and their greatness and what they were able to do out of their situations. Because anytime all of this is written when Egypt is still in control of the Levant for the most part. Throughout anytime you look at an Old Testament writing, Egypt for the most part is in charge of the Levant. Some of it is then is re-edited, and a few books are written when the Babylonians are in charge of the Levant. None of the Old Testament is written when they in charge of themselves. They were like sub kingdoms within somebody else's kingdom. And then we know the whole New Testament. So there was the Babylonians or the Greek were in charge. Then the Greek became in charge, and then after the Greek were the Romans, and that's when all your New Testament stuff was written while they were under the control of the Romans. Still in charge today, that a fifth of the produce belongs to Pharaoh. It was only the land of the priests that did not become Pharaoh's, because Pharaoh gives them a stipend. Now the Israelites settled in Egypt in the region of Joseph. They acquired property there and were fruitful and increased greatly in number, because they were taking care of Pharaoh's sheep, which Pharaoh had got from all the people. So of course they were good to go. They were in the Nile Delta, so of course they were good to go. Nepotism. And it's just further swerved by Joseph. Jacob lived in Egypt 17 years, and the years of his life were 147. When the time drew near for Israel to die, he called for his son Joseph and said to him, "If I have found favor in your eyes, Look, I just don't understand this. I couldn't be Hebrew for this one reason right here, because I would never do this. If I have found favor in your eyes, put your hand under my thigh and promise that you will show me kindness and faithfulness. Do not bury me in Egypt." Now, this is a repetitive kind of thing. Like Abraham did the same thing. Put the hand on the thigh. Go find a wife for my child. You know, don't bury me here. This hand under the thigh thing. I got a problem with men putting hands under their thighs as a sign of promise. Put my hand under no thighs. You know, if it's a woman, I put my hand under the thigh. But I ain't putting my hand under the thigh with dude. But when I rest with my fathers, carry me out of Egypt and bury me where they are buried. And there's something about his burial in the next chapter, I think, that you think we would be able to find it. We would be able to find Jacob. You should be able to find Jacob. But we ain't found Jacob. Will you do this? Will you do as I say? He said. Swear to me, he said. Then Joseph swore to him, and Israel worshiped as he leaned on the top of his staff. So this old man, he want to be buried in Egypt. He don't want to be buried in Egypt. He want to be buried in the same place that in his homeland, which is still owned by the Canaanites, which according to Noah's curse on Canaan, they should be enslaved. They should be slaves to the children of Shem. And according to this story, Jacob is one of the children of Shem. He's from that lineage, but that's not what's happening here. So 48. Sometime later, Joseph was told, your father is ill. Hold on. Wait. Didn't he just say he was already sick in the previous chapter? Wait, what did that last part say? Joseph lived, but when the rest of his father carried me on. So it drew time for near for him to die, so he called on Joseph. So we just repeating ourselves. Okay. So his daddy getting old, ready to die. Sometime later, Joseph was told, your father is ill. So he took his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And this is some jacked up shit he about to do, but it's going to be reminiscent of what happened in Jacob's life earlier. Why do we start recognizing Asherah? That better not be nobody trying to show up at this lounge because I don't open for another hour. Because they went away from henotheism to complete monotheism during the re-editing during Josiah and Hezekiah's reign in what we call southern Israel, and the nation of Judah. And so they got rid of Asherah then. And also they stopped worshiping Baal. So he took his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, along with him. When Jacob was told, your son Joseph has come to you, Israel rallied his strength and sat up on the bed. Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me in Luz, in the land of Canaan. And there he blessed me and said to me, I am going to make you fruitful, increase your numbers. I will make you a community of people, and I will give this land as an everlasting possession to your descendants after you, which has never still happened. This bullshit promise has never happened. Now then, your two sons born to you in Egypt before I came to you here will be recognized as mine. You know, they have interesting thoughts on biology in this book. They just be taking people's kids. Remember when got killed by God because he was just so wicked? Never said why he was wicked. But then his brother Onan had to marry his widow, and he was jizzing on the floor, because he was mad and jizzing on the floor because they said that those kids would be kids. Biology don't work that way. I know that your wife Rachel died and you only really love Rachel. You didn't like cockeyed Leah, but Rachel only gave you two sons. Leah gave you more sons. So you trying to make Rachel a little bit better by taking the sons of one of your sons from Rachel in order so that Rachel can win the baby race that started way in the beginning of this dude's life. But he's also doing the Jacob thing as well. I'm showing favoritism to Joseph. I'm showing favoritism to Benjamin. Guess what? The only grandkids I want to give some favoritism to in my will is going to be Ephraim and Manasseh, because them Joseph kids. Again, showing favoritism again, bad parenting. Let me create bigger divides within my children by showing favoritism to my grand. These are my favorite grandkids. I had an epiphany in my life about a year or two ago. I found out that my grandmother used to tell everybody in the family, all the grandkids, that they were her favorite. I thought that I was her favorite. She told me I was her favorite. She told all of us that we were. I was hurt. I had all these years of my life thought that I was my grandmother's favorite. She done told everybody that they were her favorite. Slick old lady. But this dude is literally doing it. So Ephraim and Manasseh will be mine, just as Reuben and Simeon are mine. Any children born to you after them will be yours. In the territory they inherit, they will be reckoned under the names of their brothers. So he's lifting Manasseh and Ephraim up to the same levels as the other brothers, his other sons, and he's going to make sure that they have an inheritance part of that equal to all the rest of them, although he doesn't really. And then any other children, yeah, okay, you got to take care of their inheritance, is basically what he's telling Joseph at this point. As I was returning from Padan, it's not Padan Haran this time, but most of the time it's Padan Haran. To my sorrow, Rachel died in the land of Canaan while we were still on the way, a little distance from Ephrath. I'm gonna mess that up. Ephrath. So I buried her beside the road in Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. So you teach your grands that they were all your favorites too. Y'all just wrong. That broke my heart, but I found that out. But so he buried her on the side of the road. His favorite wife got buried on the side of the road in Bethlehem. And we're later going to find out that Leah, though, she got a good burial. You know, Rachel got a side of the road burial. That's what happens when you have a favorite. See? That's what happens when you have a favorite. They get side of the road burial. How about that? When Israel saw his son Joseph and he asked, "Who are these?" And they heard, and he's like, "Dude, did you just forget? We just told you that this was Ephraim and Manasseh that you said were going to be yours. And they ain't saying, who are these? These are my sons. God has given me here," Joseph said to his father. Then Israel said, "Bring them to me so I may bless them." Now, Israel's eyes were failing because of old age and could hardly see. Now, remember, what did Jacob do to his brother Esau? He tricked his old father who couldn't see into stealing the blessing of Esau, right? So here we are now. Israel, Jacob, Israel, whatever you want to call him. His eyes are failing. He old. He can hardly see. So Joseph brought his sons close to him, and his father kissed them and embraced them. Israel said to Joseph, "I never expected to see your face again. And now God has allowed me to see your children too, even though I'm going to take them and call them mine." Then Joseph removed them from Israel's knee and bowed down with his face to the ground. And Joseph took both of them, Ephraim on his right hand towards Israel's left hand, and Manasseh on his left hand towards Israel's right hand, and brought them close to him. But Israel reached out with his right hand and put it on Ephraim's head. Then, though he was the younger, and crossing his arms, he put his left hand on Manasseh's head, even though Manasseh was the firstborn. Why are they saying this? Because it's customary that the oldest son gets she wasn't smart. It's customary that the older son gets the bigger inheritance. But Jacob being Jacob slash Israel being Jacob slash Israel, being himself, I'm gonna do this my way. Just like how I got the bigger inheritance because I was the youngest, I'm doing the same thing. Even though he had to run from his brother, and he still, hey, we ain't said shit about Esau since. We don't know nothing. Why is she calling me? We ain't heard nothing about Esau since this. But Esau wound up getting all the land of his father. I mean, this joker actually had to go out and do some work and got tricked. And I'm glad he did get tricked. But he's doing I'm blessing who I want to bless. But he's doing the same thing that happened to him, but he's just making it seem like he's doing it on purpose, whereas he tricked his father. So maybe he just feel like this makes him better. All these deadbeat dads where family courts at. I'm with you. Because these some horrible fathers in this book. Then he blessed Joseph and said, may the God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked faithfully, the God who has been my shepherd all my life to this day, the angel who has delivered me from all harm, may he bless these boys. May they be called by my name and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and may they increase greatly in earth. This is a blessing that Jewish people actually still use today. No, actually, the next part is the one they still use today. A little bit later on. Sorry, a little early. When Joseph saw his father placing the right hand on Ephraim's head, he was displeased. So he took hold of his father's hand to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. Joseph said to him, no, my father, this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know my son. I know. He too will become a people, and he too will become great. Nevertheless, his younger brother will be greater than he, and his descendants will become a group of nations. He blessed them that day and said, okay, so before he blessed them and said, you see how they're kind of writing the same story again and again and again. Jacob was the younger brother, so he became greater. Joseph was almost the youngest brother, but he became greater. So he's setting up this situation again where he want to make the younger brother greater. So I just want to go on record to say that when my older brother and my older sisters see this, knowing that I'm the baby of the family, and since y'all still kind of Christian, the younger brother is the great. I'm sorry, I've been saving that joke up this whole time. Couldn't even get it out right. But the younger brother is the greatest. I'm gonna make sure my brother and them see that. So anyway, even though I don't believe none of this book, but that just like, why are you setting these brothers up to be in conflict with each other? If you think about this book, almost every brother pairing has conflict with each other. Cain and Abel, conflict with each other, right? They had conflict. They had problems. Jacob and Esau, conflict. Joseph and all his brothers, conflict. Even conflicts within inner conflict. Reuben got problems with his brothers when they wanted to kill Joseph. You know, brotherhood is not a good hood in this book. You finally got two brothers, Ephraim and Manasseh, who don't have any conflicts, and yet you want to create one because you want to bless the younger over the older. You want to say that the younger is going to be greater than the older, instead of just saying that I'm going. Like, I have 3 kids. I tell all my 3 kids, y'all gonna be great. Y'all 3 of y'all are great. Whenever in your own level of greatness, whatever it is great. I'm not gonna say that. Well, you know, Lincoln, you're gonna be greater things than Simone, and Simone, you're gonna do greater things than Sydney, but then Sydney, you're gonna do greater things than Lincoln. You know, I'm not trying to send them into some kind of mental spin like that. No, you just all y'all great, and whatever you want to do in your life, you become great, and you're great at it. Just do it. You know, do it with a passion and do it as effectively and efficiently as you possibly can. That's what kind of blessing you should be saying. But this last part, you know, they still say this today when they during the I think it's what's the thing that they do when they the bar mitzvah stuff. He said he blessed them that day and said, in your name will Israel pronounce this blessing. May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. So they still tell boys of today, may God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. So he put Ephraim ahead of Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, I am about to die, but God will be with you and take you back to the land of your fathers. And I'm sorry, I can't do that. And take you back to the land of your fathers. Take you back to the land of your fathers. And to you, I give one more ridge of land than to your brothers. The ridge I took from the Amorites with my sword and my bow. So this chapter ends with Jacob Jezreel being Jacob Jezreel. I'm going to create problems between the brothers by showing favoritism once again. And even though Joseph is, according to this story, he's Hamilton to Washington. He's the right-hand man of Pharaoh. Yeah, I like musical Hamilton, so that's where the reference comes from. But that's his dude. He got all this power. But you know what, son? I'm going to give you one extra ridge of land more than I'm going to leave your other brother, just so that them jokers will know even in my death, you are my favorite son. Forget them. Let me set up conflict between y'all constantly. This is some bad, horrible parenting that goes on. If this was a God of fairness, if this was a God that was trying to teach me how to be a good person, how to be a good dad, how to be a good grandfather, this chapter ain't got nothing to do with this. It teaches me how to be a piss poor grandfather, is what this chapter taught me. Is that this is how you be a piss poor grandfather, by creating separation between your grandkids and your kids. So bad father. The previous chapter did not teach me that if I decided that I'm going to go into government, it didn't teach me how to go into government and be a good political figure. It taught me how to go into government and take advantage of the people left and right. Just take advantage of all y'all. You know what I mean? You see, basically, this thing is telling me that what our government should have did during the whole outbreak and everybody's in the house and can't go nowhere was put an extra mortgage on your house so that I can get some more money out of it. Take over as many businesses and industries as I possibly can so that all y'all work for the government, and then I can tax you directly through your paycheck. That I should have came in and bought out all your priceless, everything you got of value, just buy it all up so that you need me. And you're going to be thankful that I came and bought it from you. That's semi what they did. That's semi what the government did when they came in with all these programs during COVID, a man-made up bullshit, so that the government can have even more controls. 9/11, let's have some more bullshit so I can get the Patriot Act, create TSA so I can have more government control. This book does a very good job of teaching government how to enslave the people, because that's all that happened in chapter 47, was in taking advantage of the people while they're in a desperate time of need. And the playbook is right here in your book, in this book. If this book was inspired by a God, like I said before, then it would have been a much different story. I would have written a different, if I was God, I would have written a much different story. Joseph would have taken care of the people, would have set the people up so that they can be prosperous after this whole time frame, after this famine, that they would have been able to keep their land. They wouldn't have been in servitude to Pharaoh. They would have been able to keep their sheep. And then once the famine is over, they were able to grow crops. I wouldn't have set my brothers up, I wouldn't have set my brothers up so that they in the only area of land that's going to be fertile during a drought. And then make sure that they're taking care of Pharaoh's cattle, which I stole from the people and gave to Pharaoh, and they get to keep it. So of course they got money. And then that good old stipend to the priests. Got to keep the priest. Now think about that. Most of the people on here, most of the people going to watch this, we are deconstructionists, right? We are deconstructionists. We have walked away from this book. So the biggest trap, one of the things is to keep the people keep the priest happy so that they can keep the people under their spell. Because if the priesthood ever decided that they were going to go against the government, they will be able to rally the people. Civil rights movement. Name me the two biggest people in the civil rights movement. I'll wait. I need a couple of puffs anyway and a sip of coffee. Who are the two biggest people in the civil rights movement? Name them. Shouldn't take long. I can hear the keyboards keying. It's taking y'all that long for real? Can't be taking y'all that long. Two biggest people during the civil rights. Two most notable people during civil rights. Thank you. True American. It would be you to write it first. Right. MLK and Malcolm X. I said civil rights. Not you said link, but you said you're from Antilles, so I'm gonna let you slide on that one. No, civil rights movement. This is in the 1960s. You're thinking about Civil War. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Why were they the two biggest ones? Why did they have the most followers? Why did more people lean on them? Because they were spiritual leaders. They were spiritual leaders. And spiritual leaders can move people differently than a political leader, than a business leader. I give all respect to organizations like the Black Panthers. I can't really. I'm just not friend. I just don't like NAACP, so I'm gonna leave that one alone. But I give all props to any other organization, people who was out there trying to make a change for Black people during the civil rights movement in the 1960s and earlier. But people like Booker T. Washington, Carver, all these boys, all these people who came before. But it's not until you get a spiritual leader to go against the government does the government become afraid of that leader. There's only two people that get afraid of them: spiritual leaders, military leaders. Other political leaders, they're coming in third. But spiritual, military, then other political leaders. Business leaders, they don't give a shit. People keep saying stuff to me like, man, you better stop saying that stuff. You got to stay safe. I'm not a spiritual leader in the same sense that these people are. Could be if I wanted to. Don't want to. But I could. But if that's when you can get people to do things outside of the norm, to go against government. That's why they kept the government in that story with Joseph. The government had to take care of the spiritual leaders that's why they killed them. Because the spiritual leader holds the keys to afterlife. Your political leader holds the keys to today life. But people are more concerned about their afterlife than they are concerned about the current life. And that is why the spiritual leader is more important, and they will follow them easier, which is ass backwards. Nobody has any proof of an afterlife. Nobody has any proof of where you go or what it's like. Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? Is it just another dimensional plane of existence where you are pure energy, but you still got the same issues that you have down here, just at a higher consciousness? Or do you go to a lower consciousness? Do you go to Muslim hell? Do you go to Hindu hell? Well, reincarnations. What? Nobody knows. Nobody can truly know. We can just make our best estimated guesses. And the only best estimated guess is that your consciousness is pure energy. And then when this body dies and your consciousness leaves this body, it goes somewhere. Maybe it just all dispersed, but it goes somewhere. That's it. That's all you got. That's all you can really say, is that your energy will transmute to another form. Is it another body? Is it another dimension? Is it another planet? Another plane? Nobody knows. No one knows. And that's one, like, when people ask me why I won't become a spiritual leader, and that's one of the main reasons, because everybody's going to want to know what happens after life. And I'm going to tell you, whatever you create in your mind, whatever you believe in your mind, that's my answer. If you believe that you're going to go to a heaven, I'm not talking about in the front part of your mind. It got to be in that back part of your mind, like that subconscious. If you believe that you're going to go to heaven, that's where you're going to go. If you're going to believe you're going to hell, that's where you're going to go. You believe you're going to reincarnate on this planet, you're going to reincarnate on this planet. You're going to go to an alien world, hell, that's where you're going to go. Because your mind is that powerful. But the mind is also that weak. The mind is also that weak. That's why these people were thankful. They were thankful that after this man took their money, took their land, took their livestock, and took their freedom, gave them some food and some seed, and said they can be sharecroppers. And what did they do? They said, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. When you live your whole life and the church take all your money, take all your money, all your money, all your money, you struggle, you struggle, you struggle, you struggle, you still say thank you. You still say thank you. You still give glory to it. You never increased your life. You never lived better life. You never had a life full of happiness. You never got married. You never had a wife. You never had a husband. You never had kids. You never owned your own house. You never, had a good damn year. Have you ever had a good year? Have you ever just had a good year? Just like the whole year was like, that was my year. Because every goddamn January, that's what I hear from these people talking about. This year gonna be my year. This year gonna be my year. And at some point in that year, they go through some depression bullshit. Have you ever just had a year where it was just phenomenal? Because I ain't gonna lie, I've had several years that were phenomenal. Now, I've had some years that was like, goddamn, but I've had several that were phenomenal. But these people are living their life, giving everything to these churches, giving everything to this government, and just thinking that this is the will of God. Because this book also tells you that whatever government you were born under is the one that God wanted you to have. That you were born. Trump was born. You were born for Trump to be here. That was right. It was right to have Clinton. It was right to have Bush. It was right to have Obama. It was right to have Putin. It was right to have Stalin. It was right to have Hitler. It was right to have Ferdinand and Isabella. It was right to have Shaka. It was right to have Mansa Musa. That whatever government you was born over, it was right to have Idi Amin. It was right to have him. It was right to have the British royal family that created so much shit around the world. It was right to have them because God ordained all of them, because that's what this book says. So all the suffering that happened under any of their regimes, all of that was right. So it was right for Joseph to take advantage of the people, because that was ordained by God. Because in a couple of chapters before, he said, you didn't send me here. God sent me here. And God sent me here for a remnant to set y'all up. And you know what? I'm setting y'all up. But in a few hundred years, you little motherfuckers gonna be slaves. And God gonna have to come and get y'all out of here. I bet you they didn't think about that when they tell this story. Yeah, you saved the remnant, but a few hundred years, y'all gonna be slaves. And y'all gonna be crying out. And the Lord gonna have to have Moses and all that. But that's what they tell you. That's what we do. That's how the people are. I got to do a video later on today about reparations to answer a question. But that's how strong the mind is, but that's also how weak the mind is. Now, we got quite a bit of time. We got like more than 45, like 46 minutes. We can do question and answer, because I know one person is saying they're going to be here at 12, interrupting my video. What did Albert say? Oh, thank you for this. I don't know. I didn't see who gave me the stars on Facebook, but thank you so very much for the stars. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Some spiritual leaders work for the government, and when they start to feel like they have led the people into the slaughterhouse and they start to change their narrative, they get killed. You sure will. Thank you, Albert, for the stars. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Whistleblowers. See, that's why I can't work for the government, because I'd be a straight up whistleblower. I'm telling it. Like last night, I was listening to this video and I was like, "Woo, don't let me be president." I'll be like, have a press conference, and I'm like, "So the moon is actually hollow, and we actually never sent full people there. We sent some machinery there, and we collected the dust and we collected the samples, and yeah, it's hollow as hell. It's a man-made construct that didn't used to exist on this planet, but didn't used to exist in our solar system before, because the Zulus have stories talking about when the moon came into the night sky. So did the Anunnaki and other people. So the moon is hollow, just like that damn movie Moonfall said. So we're gonna tell the truth. Atlantis existed here. Kennedy was shot because of this. I tell it, and I'll be dead tomorrow. I tell all the business. But yeah, oftentimes when somebody who's a pastor or a spiritual leader, they get into politics, they realize, see, people go into politics thinking that they're gonna go in there and I'm gonna be able to maintain my, what am I thinking about? Maintain my standards, maintain, my honor. You're gonna have to cut some deals if you go in there. You ain't just running up into there and you're a pastor or a priest and thinking that you're gonna be able to maintain and not make some deals that's not gonna work out good for people. But at the same time, you ain't doing nothing. Just being honest. There are some things that pastors do to help people, sure. But when I look at the overarching situation, pastors, churches are doing more damage to the people, especially in the Black community, than they are doing good. They are doing way more damage. And you can't, I've had many people who are ministers come in here and try to prove me wrong on that. They try to prove me wrong. Well, our church, but then I go over what their church could be doing. And none of what they are doing measures up to what they could do. Especially some of these medium-sized to larger churches. None of them matches what they could do. You see, I raised my kids to understand that success is not Lincoln compared to Simone compared to Sydney compared to Lincoln. But your measurement of success is Lincoln compared to what Lincoln could do. What Lincoln did compared to what Lincoln could have done. What Sydney did compared to what Sydney could have done. What Simone did compared to what Simone could have done. So when these churches tell me that they are doing for the community, it's measured. Your success to me is measured based on what you could have done. You got 5,000 members, and the only thing you own is the building that you're in. You don't own this plaza over here, this plaza over there, and you're putting people in business in that plaza, and that 5,000 membership is supporting that plaza, building business, giving jobs to other people in that church. You got 5,000 members. That's enough to have your own bank. You're not providing a bank that your members are depositing into, where then you can finance the houses of your membership so that redlining doesn't take advantage of Black communities anymore. You're not doing that. You see what I'm saying? Oh, you got a daycare? That's great. Do you have a school? That might be great. Are you teaching the same bullshit histories and lessons and not teaching critical thinking? That's not so great. You see what I'm saying? It's about what you could be doing, not what you're doing. Because they could be doing a lot more. So they are, to me, the biggest failed institution in the Black community. And some people want to try to say, no, the liquor store is the biggest failed institution. No. The liquor industry is very successful in every community that it's in, because it's getting folks drunk. That's his mission, to keep you inebriated. It may be damaging, but the church is providing the most damage. The drug boy is not failing at his mission in the community. He's getting it done, because that's his mission. It's damaging to the community, but that's his mission. So my thing is, what's the church's mission? That's why they're failing, and they're failing at that mission. I did when I was in the military. I called out all the BS and of the wars and was considered militant. I understand. I got in a little bit of trouble during Desert Storm myself, bro. The first one during the 90s, early 90s. Pastors and churches are like enthusiasts. Enthusiasts. I think that's what I said. Mama, they put you to sleep and make easy transitions to death. They do. I think I said that wrong. It's not enthusiast. And I don't know what that word is. I don't know what it means, but I'm going to look it up. But kind of like anesthesia. They put you to sleep and they make you think that, oh, don't worry about this life. Next life gonna be grand. It's gonna be great. And you're gonna live this great, beautiful life in heaven where all you do all day is worship God on the throne all day, all night. And there are 12 trees that produce fruit, and you're gonna eat from those 12 trees. I don't know why you gotta eat, but you gotta eat from 12 trees. And you're gonna, you know, God will be the day and God will be the night, and it'll be light eternal. And if eternity you worshiping God, that is boring as hell for me. I remember telling my grandmother, I want to go to hell. Maybe I can get a good job in hell if I'm bad enough, because heaven sounds boring. I told these jokers in here, when I get to hell, I'm taking over. If I went to Christian hell, let's say Christian hell existed, I'm the type of person that'll get down there and take over, and then we're gonna turn into a party. There ain't no way in hell I would allow myself to be punished for eternity. My mind is way more powerful than that. There ain't no way. No way. Even in the little TV show, I love the TV show Lucifer, and they show that hell is like whatever your biggest guilt is in life, you just reliving that situation, but the doors are never locked. All you have to do is forgive yourself and release your guilt, and then you'll be able to walk out of heaven, out of hell. It's funny that they had that in that show, because that's always been my mindset about it. Like ever since I started learning about chakras in my like late teens, I started to realize that everything that creates a negative energy around you is based on you giving in to fear, guilt, shame, um, lack of love, all those things, feeling like you're separated, the lies that you tell to yourself, holding on to earthly attachment. Those are the things that gives you the most pain. I was watching a podcast the other day on TikTok where they was talking about cheating. They was talking about cheating, and they were saying that somebody said that people cheat because they're sad and they're miserable, and they're not getting what they desire, but they don't want to lose the person that they with. They don't want to lose the person that they with. Oh. Woo! I almost had a moment. I'm sorry. My sister sent me a text and it said mom something, and she said diet, but the T was kind of cut off. I thought she was about to send me a text that my mom passed away. I was like, you still, woo. Oh, she was gonna get cussed out if she sent me a text saying, but she did try to call me earlier, and I just ignored her. But you don't text that. But she needs some diet food so she can get her health better. Sorry, I had a moment there, y'all. I had a moment. Oh, I'm gonna kick my sister butt. Whew. But I don't even, the hell was I saying? Oh, you want to know how to get you want to know how to stay out of hell? No fear, no shame, no guilt. Allow yourself to love. So release all past hurts from pain. Stop lying to yourself about who you truly are. I did a podcast with a young lady yesterday. We was talking about one of the questions she had asked me, and I'm gonna do one of these questions on, guys, tomorrow on my TikTok channel, the Facebook group, The Art of Tantric Love, and on this YouTube, it's a relationship tomorrow. And we was talking about the fact of men who say, I want to be in a relationship, but I don't want to be with a woman when she starts acting like a woman. That's when she messes up the relationship. And one of my short answers is, he wants to be with a dude or he wants to be with a transvestite. Go be with be your truth. If you want a woman, be with a woman, but you want her to act like a dude, you want to be with a transvestite or you want to be with a dude. Just go have your truth and go do that. But it's a lie that we tell us, and I'm just using that as examples. We tell ourselves, and a little slide that in as a little propaganda to get y'all to come and watch the live tomorrow about relationship. But fact remains, there are a lot of things that we're just not true to ourselves about. I was in some relationships that I know I should have never been in when I got divorced back in my 30s. that I wasn't true to myself, and that's why I allowed myself to be with people that wouldn't fit me, because I wasn't being true to myself. Then you have to realize how everything is connected. Everything is connected. There is no separation between anything. Like literally, there is no space. There's nothing called, you know how when I was coming up in school, they said space was empty space. There's no such thing as empty space. Everything on the planet, there's matter all over the planet. There's matter throughout the entire universe. So literally, I am connected to everybody who's watching this. I'm connected to y'all. There may be, you know how you do 6 degrees of separation? There is matter in between me that connects to you. I just don't know how to access the textile of that matter so that I could feel you, or you feel my hand on your shoulder or something like that. You understand what I'm saying? But we are literally connected. We are all literally connected. But we're all literally connected emotionally. We're all literally connected energetically. We're all literally connected spiritually, because we all emanate from one source. Whatever you call that source, whatever that energy is, right? It's 6 degrees of separation between any one thing. Exactly. It's just that. But we are all connected, and everything is connected. Every decision you make today has a connection to what your life is going to be in the future, because your life today is based on every decision and every experience that you had in your past. Every cause and effect. There are causes and there are causations that has reverberated throughout your life that has affected you to be who you are right now. Right now, that's who you are. Everything is connected. But the biggest and the most hardest thing, well, it ain't the most hardest. It ain't the hardest thing to do. Actually, getting rid of fear, shame, and guilt is the hardest thing to do, which is why in that show, Lucifer, damn near everybody was in hell, which is why I believe that damn near all these people are going to end up in a hell that they create themselves, because they all are living in some level. Most of them, I don't use finite terms, are living in some level of hell within themselves and living in fear, guilt, and shame, right? But releasing your earthly attachments. I can go on record and say that the young lady that I'm dating, I ain't even dating, that I'm courting, that I love her, right? But I will not hold on to earthly attachments. It's not that I can't have love for her. It's not that I can't demonstrate that. But you know how I say, if you love something, let it. If you love something enough, you should be able to let it go. It's not being so attached that you grip it so tight that you wind up killing it. You understand? Like, I've been around people who their love was so tight they wind up killing you. They wind up killing everything around them. You have to be free to just let it flow and let it stay naturally, right? To let it just be as it is. Let them be as they are, and let their love flow naturally. That's how you release an earthly attachment. It's not that you push it away. See, the Buddhists misinterpreted that and took it in the, well, not the Buddhists. It was, damn, that Siddhartha was a part of before he started Buddhism, but it was that they neglected themselves. Their way of getting rid of earthly attachment is to neglect themselves. He left his wife and his child because he felt that earthly attachment would keep him chained down. It is not letting go and being restricted from it, but it is to have it, but let it be natural and free within you. He didn't realize this until he was sitting there looking all emaciated and starving. So when y'all see this fat Buddha, that is not the, I know I said fat booty, but so don't correct me and don't laugh at me. But when you see this fat Buddha, that's not the original Siddhartha. That's not the starter of Buddhism. But he had this, but he was emaciated, and a little girl came and gave him some food. And at that time frame, he said that he was living off of 1 grain of rice and 1 drop of water. That's some bullshit. People died. But that's when he realized that life is not about restricting yourself from the enjoyments of life, but don't hold on to it so tightly that you can't breathe. You know, we got the saying, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. because you hold on to life too tight. Black community. Everybody wants change in the black community, but nobody wants to die for it. How many of y'all die for it? It's always the question. How many of y'all die for it? When I'm in the position to do what I want to do for the black community, the fact of the matter is I'm willing to die for it. There's no such thing as death. I just come back. If I die through assassination, I've already made up my mind that if that's the way I'm dying, I'm just gonna come back and keep it going and do it again and keep it going. Gonna win this thing. And if I gotta die again, I just come back again. And I just keep coming back. Hell, for all I know, I could be a reincarnation of Malcolm and Martin, because I think they both died before I was born. Just come back. Maybe that's why I'm so rebellious. Balance is everything. Right, I'm connected to everyone and everything. You certainly are. Go in clean, come out filthy, dirty, and rich. Yep, that's how politicians. That's what politics will do to you. You, sir, correct. It's all the mind. It is all. Look, last week we did the all in all on Thursday. Because on Thursdays Live, we just do more spiritual things. We were going through the Kabbalion and the Tao at the same time. And the all is mind. The law of mentalism. Whenever we get to the law of mentalism, that's when we're going to talk about like everything initiates. Since I said something about my lady earlier, let me tell you something else. And she can validate it if she ever decides she want to join me on one of these. Long before we actually started dating, I told her, you are going to be mine. You and I are going to be together. And you're going to, and y'all have to really know me to know me. And I say, we're going to be together. And you're going to like it. You're going to love it. And you're going to want some more of it. And she laughed at me. But who's she with? Who's she with? Who is she with? Because I decided in my mind, when we were just friends, that she was going to be mine, that we were going to be a couple. After learning more and more about it, I made that decision. All creation starts that way. Now, I have to make sure that she's seen it too. So I got to do all the cool and stuff. But it was a decision that I made. No matter what you do in life, everything you have is a decision that came from your mind, even the bad stuff, even the messed up stuff. Now, you want to be the causational factor in your life that initiates good stuff, but sometimes your causations screw stuff up. So, the mind is the most powerful thing that you have, whatever you want to have. Like, y'all know I can't stand America. I'm leaving this place. This has been my mind. Doing some things right now so that we can make the first move, and then we'll make the second move. First move will be to get off mainland America, and then the second move will be Africa. Looking up places right now, because within the next 2 years, getting the hell on. All right, anybody got any other questions? We got like 26 minutes. Anybody like to? I was looking up Zoom to see how I can use Zoom to do and people can call in for YouTube. I'm gonna do more research on that day because I tried to figure it out in I got here like 20 minutes early, but I couldn't figure it out. I'm gonna do that more so that maybe by tomorrow I can Zoom people in on YouTube. I know how to do it on, if somebody want to join in on Facebook or TikTok, if you come on in, have a conversation. You got 26 minutes at minimum. Before, and again, I appreciate the stars on Facebook. I think I know what the stars do, but if you would like to support this channel, because I was telling my lady the other night, which was last night, that I do have a goal of building up my YouTube page to the point where it supplements my income. And when we move, that first move is going to be to Puerto Rico. When we move to Puerto Rico, That's all. The only thing I'm doing. This will be ran and managed by somebody else. The only thing I'm doing all day is this. This is what I'm doing. Every day we build it. Every day we grow, and every day we'll add more to it. We're going to add, financial literacies. We're going to add more historical um, teachings, more spiritual teachings, more relationship teachings. We want to build our completeness. We want to get as complete as we possibly can. So that's why I need y'all to be over on YouTube, because I know that's where the finance get paid to augment the money that I make out of here. Because it's not like I'm rich, but I want to do this full time. That's the goal. So we got like a year and a half to build this up, y'all. To build up this YouTube. So y'all go to the YouTube page, and it's my name, LaRenzoreid. Or you can go to the Why I Left Religion on Facebook, because that's another way to build it. Yeah, Africa, Zazus. Am I saying it right? Zazus? Rich. I like that. Zazu. Africa will definitely welcome you. The ancestors will be happy. Oh yeah. I was leaving. I can't stay here, man. I can't do it. And America is just, I was telling guys just 2 days ago, I literally felt more comfortable living in Germany than I did do in America. So when I lived in Germany for a little over 3 years, I felt more comfortable there. I felt safer there than in America. Take the lounge with me? No, the lounge is going to stay here. It'll just be employed. I'll probably open another lounge when we get down there, or in Puerto Rico. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not opening a lounge in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, I just want to do this. When I get to Africa, I'll probably open up another lounge. Well, I'm going to say it depends on how long we're in Puerto Rico. We were talking about that because both of our parents are older. Both of our parents are, like, my mom's 70. How old that lady? I think she's 75. So, like, my mom's 75. So we'll probably just be in Puerto Rico until, sounds horrible, but until our parents transition, and then hop it on over to Africa. Because she did make a very valid point about being closer to America to get to our parents in their older age, instead of being a 16, 17-hour flight. But I got to get out of the mainland. So might wind up doing a cigar lounge in Puerto Rico. All that to say, yeah, might do one in Puerto Rico. Sorry, baby. I know I said last night, hell no, I won't do shit. But it depends on how this is going. I'm telling you now, if Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and whatever the hell else this shit is doing well, I ain't opening up nothing. Wake up in the morning, sit on the balcony, grab a cigar, a little coffee, a little breakfast with my baby. You know what I'm saying? Then, she go off into the jungle, do her photography and, all that kind of stuff. And then, I'm sitting up there living with y'all, have like 2 lives a day or something like that. And then shoot some other videos in between, take some vacations. It's not a vacation. Take some trips to, Lake Titicaca and, the different ancient sites and, find the stuff, Indiana Jones, that joint. You know what I'm saying? Bring y'all the real information, bring y'all deeper information, have time to actually study. Like, if I had time to really study, that's one of the things, the reason why I monetize my channels, which is why I appreciate donations, is because I want to get, the goal is to get to a point where I have 5-6 hours a day to be able to study. God, at a whole new level then. A whole new level. But yeah, we're gonna start talking, but we will start growing into more things. We're gonna start having some classes too. I know. So I'm going. I already have a financial program written of how you can live off one income, how to budget your money. Oh shit! I just hit something. But how to budget your money, how to live off one income, how to fix your credit, and all this other kind of stuff. And we are going to do a class on that. We're going to do a class on the Dow. We're going to do a class on the Kabbalah, a deep dive into those philosophies. And we're going to do, and that's the one to be the main thing. We're going to do deep dives into philosophies, understanding chakras, understanding stoicism, and all these other philosophies, so that you can better your life and better your mind and get your mind strong, so that nothing can penetrate your mind. You know, nothing can cause you to have doubt about who you are, so that when you do get older, you're not sitting there thinking like, oh shit, am I gonna go to heaven? I'm gonna go to hell? Like in the deep, true recesses of your mind, what the hell are you really thinking? Controlling your subconscious mind should be the most focused work you should ever be doing, because that subconscious mind is going to have so much impact on what happens when you transition from here. This country is failing due to the greed of the non-melanated. Well, so in every country, you're going to have a power struggle. You're going to have a power struggle between the dominant group and the group that's the oppressed group. The dominant group is never just going to freely give up their power. Like, this is what I'm going to go into when I talk about reparations in another video that I'm going to shoot the video I'll shoot later today. That dominant group is never going to freely give up their power. So they're never freely going to give reparations, because if they freely gave reparations, they will set the most oppressed group in this country up to be able to gain on their power, right? So they're never just going to give it up. It can be looked upon as greed, but it's more about maintaining power and control for their group, so that they can ensure that their generations are still in power, right? If the roles were reversed, it'd be the same thing. I don't like it when we have this mindset that melanated people have a nature about them that doesn't treat people in this negative format. Our history has proven that is not actually true. And we did it before we came in contact with Caucasians. So there are, I mean, hell, look at what Shaka Zulu did to some of his own people, you know, before he ever came in contact with white people. He was kind of merciless. I appreciate and marvel at his military ingenuity, but dude was a little sadistic. He was a little, you know. So that's just people. People do that. The Chinese did shit like that before they ever met white people. The natives over here did things like that before they ever met white people. You know. So everybody who's in power is always trying to maintain their power. Question is, are we ever going to? Is the hardest thing to do is to get into balance, to find a balance point. You know, we just haven't been in that situation in so damn long. I don't even think anybody can remember what it feels like. So yeah, I had to put that way because I got 12 days in jail, Facebook jail. You know, with all the bullshit I talk about, I've never been in Facebook jail. You would think that I would have been in Facebook jail plenty of time. I know another guy on Facebook, Elijah. I forgot Elijah's last name. We speak about similar things. Elijah, that joker done been in Facebook. He be in and out of Facebook jail. Like, he on parole all the time. Now that damn TikTok on my relationship page, because people complain, and you got to have the likes on TikTok. The way to combat, let me tell the TikTok people, the few who are still there, the way to combat people from being able to shut down somebody's page is to hit that like button, like this, be tapping the hell out that screen. So go ahead, like, I'm telling you to do it. That's like not just me telling you, but for the few of y'all on there, just tap the shit out the screen. But those likes keep people from being able to shut your page down. But those likes also make it so that your lives come up in front of more people. So if you're on TikTok, hit the like button. Same thing for Facebook. hit the goddamn like button. Right? YouTube, you just got to share it. I've got 15 more minutes, people. 15 more minutes. And then I got to study. I got some studying that I got to do today. Oh, shit. I got an event tonight and I forgot to take my clothes out and iron them. I'm pretty sure the guy who's replacing me will let me. I get there. I get home early. But early enough to get my stuff together. I knew I was forgetting something this morning. But so how many of you guys, so would you guys be interested in a class on, and it ain't gonna be free, I'm telling you right now, a class on the Kabbalion, a deep dive into the Kabbalion, deep dives into other philosophies like the Tao that are non-religious. Like the Tao is non-religious. The Tao is more in sync with just energy. Like, what would you guys be interested in as far as classes that are private classes? The Bible has been rewritten 150 times by the colonizers, aka slave traders, who stole the natural resources of Africa and twisted and manipulated the scriptures they stole in hermetic spirituality and created. If I hit this see more button, it might mess up. Ah, shit. Facebook does this. Oh, yeah. And spirituality created Luciferian Torah called Bible to put the whole world under religious matrix. We know them hypocrites. Peace, the gods and goddess. Yeah. I'm gonna say this because I thought you was going one way with that one, but you switched it up for me. There is very little in this book that is actually good spirituality. Very, very, very little. Very little. It's small things that are good spirituality in this book, but it says like Jesus saying that the kingdom of God is at hand. That is right now. That is inside you and outside of you. You don't bring that with you inside of you, outside of you, then you are poverty. That's actually in the Gospel of Thomas, that part. But seek and ye shall find. Now the Gospel of Thomas version is better. Seek and you shall find, and when you find, you will be disturbed. But once you are disturbed, you will marvel and you will reign over all. Good stuff. That's good stuff. You know. Husband, love your wife. I know not a man that hated like you love your. I know say husband love your wife like you love the church. For I know not a man that hated himself, something like that. You know, love your wife. Take care of your wife better than you would take, just in the same way that you love yourself. You won't injure yourself on purpose. Don't injure your wife. That means you won't beat the shit out yourself. Don't beat the shit out your wife. You won't starve your wife. Don't starve. You won't starve yourself. Don't starve your wife. You make sure you have a good time. Make sure your wife have a good time. You know, they got some good stuff here and there, but in general, it's messed up. In general, everybody always these jokers always want to come on and talk about, oh look, he's wearing that Ankh. He's one of them Egypt guys. No, fuck, I'm not. I love this symbol. If the swastika was only the Buddhist Hindu idea of the swastika, which is unity and peace, you know, I'd wear a damn swastika. If the Germans hadn't taken it and messed it up. I am a symbolist. The hand of Hazama is a symbol of protection from negative people's thoughts. I wear it as a reminder for me to use my energy, my mindset to keep away negative thoughts, to keep other people's negative thoughts away from me, keep other people's negative energy away from me. This ain't doing shit as far as something that's doing something itself. This ain't doing nothing. It's all in me. But this just reminds me, keeps a constant reminder. My brain sees this thing and it automatically knows, you know, oh, that's a negative. It's like it's people who come in here and they talk negative about things. This automatically just makes my mind say, boop, nope, you're not gonna turn that off. You're not gonna let that be a part of me. Matter of fact, let me shut that shit down by showing them the other route. You know, this just reminds me that I can't be too hard, but I can't be too soft. That I gotta have balance between my masculine and my feminine. You understand what I'm saying? But they always think that. So when I get the comedic people saying that, oh, you know, Amun Ra and this, that, and the third, and Tahuti and Ra. Okay, I'll read some of the stories. If they got something good in their story, fine. Do I think that Ra and his son Seth is on a boat at night fighting? Um, what's that big ass serpent? It's a big ass serpent. And Anubis, Anubis, no, not Anubis. Oh, there's a big ass serpent that was around during the beginning with the Ogdode and and Ra has killed this Joker every night, but he keeps going stronger. That's why he's recruited his son's daughter. Um, the little lion daughter girl. I got a mask of her on my damn wall at home. Got her, and they fighting this big serpent every night, and I forget the goddamn old name. But it was around during the time of the Ogdode. It represents chaos and darkness. Do I believe that? No. I look at the representation of it. The darkness will never conquer the light, and the light will never conquer the darkness. It is a constant battle that will reign forever and forever and forever because they both exist on the same pole. You cannot have light and you cannot have light and dark can't cancel each other out ever. Good and evil can't cancel each other out ever. You need a little bit of both. That's why the yin yang symbol, which is something I have at my house, is the light side and the dark side, with a little bit of light in each one and a little bit of darkness in each one, because they can never count. They need each other. They have duality. And if y'all was here doing, and if y'all was here, y'all, people call me an asshole sometimes, and without knowing me, once they get to know me, they like, I like that dude. If y'all was here during Halloween, and we just, as a business thing, I don't care about Halloween, but we had a Halloween party because my lady, she loves dress up. I was a vampire in Brooklyn, and you remember he was Preacher Paulie? He was Preacher Paulie. And he said, evil is good because evil is necessary. Evil is necessary. If you didn't know, if every day was a sunny day, then how would you know it was a sunny day? Therefore, you need evil. You need a rainy day. No, evil is good because it's necessary. And anything is necessary, then it must be good because it's necessary. It's all about how you use it. But none of these spiritualities, when it comes to a religion, and then I know people nowadays are saying that, well, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. It's not about religion, it's about relationship. Relationship with who? It's about relationship with God, with Yahweh, with Jehovah, with you ain't got no relationship with nobody that ain't around, that ain't here, that you can't prove in existence. Yo, God is inside you. That's the relationship you gotta have. He said, ass is good, evil is good. Go out and get yourself some evil ass and whoop. That is one of my favorite lines from that movie. That's one of my favorite lines from that movie, dude. Ass is good. How y'all think y'all got here? That's right. That's one of my favorite lines. You get yourself a piece of evil ass. Woo. Oh. I forgot exactly. I was about to say something now. Oh, relationship. A relationship you gotta form. Your true God matter, your true matter form existence, and your God existence relationship is the one that you have with your inner God and goddess. If you don't form a relationship with your inner God and goddess, that means, as the old people wrote back in the day, to thine own self be true, that the greatest journey is the journey within yourself. If you don't understand that, if you don't get that, then you are not going, there is no relationship outside of that. You cannot have a relationship with an external being if you don't have a relationship with your internal being. If I have a piss poor relationship with myself, right, then what kind of relationship am I going to have with my lady? It's going to be piss poor, right? This is why many people can't have a good relationship, because they don't have one with themselves. And it's very hard to recognize it. It's very hard to recognize, like in your courting or in your dating, because hopefully you can recognize before you start courting. You may not recognize that the person really doesn't have a good relationship with themselves, and then you wind up getting a relationship with them, and you wind up wasting some goddamn on time because you thought that you was with somebody who had a good relationship with themselves and knew themselves, but they don't. So then you wind up having to say, okay, this shit ain't gonna work. Or you be stupid like I did a couple of times, and you wind up staying with that person way longer than you should until you realize they are damaging me. So I gotta go. I can't do this. You know. So form that relationship. If they can't form a relationship within themselves, they don't love themselves. And I know everybody's gonna say, I love me, I love me. Half the people don't even know themselves. Half of them don't even know themselves. You must know yourself and sorry, smoke's in my eye. Seek that which is within, exactly. You must know yourself. And seems it takes half a lifetime to get that. Yes, it does. It does. Blood clot. Blood clot fire. It does. It does seem it. I ain't gonna lie. This is why every 10 years I reevaluate. I look back at my last 10 years and I try to evaluate everything that happens and look at how I can get better and how I can develop more ties within myself and a closer and deeper understanding of myself and the universe around me so that I can improve and be a better person. You know, if I've made over 2,000 videos on YouTube. If you go back and start looking at a lot of the older videos, it's a different person. We're talking about from 2010, I think, like 2010, 2009, something like that. You can see a difference between those early videos and me now, right? Hell, you'll see what people try to say is a contradiction. I thought I knew this, or I thought this way back then, and now, and then I research, and say, you know what, shit, I was wrong. I'm gonna do something. You know, this is actually what this is, or this is it. This is not. You know, you can, like I was making a joke about the moon earlier. Do I think we've sent people to the moon? No. Do I think we've sent equipment, machines to the moon? Yes. But I don't think we sent any people. I think we just sent like shuttles. Do I think the Earth is flat? Fuck no. I think those people are crazy, right? Because there's just too much science against it. But I'm not getting into no damn flat Earth discussion. So if you're a flat earther and you're on here, we're not going there. We're not going there. You want to talk about that discussion is just as bad as having this discussion about somebody who's devout to their religion, because you will go in circles and circles and circles. But I've changed over the last 10 years. You'd have to watch a lot of videos to see the change, but I'm not the same person because I try to get to know myself better and better and better and better and better so that I can develop and become a true higher conscious being. You know, it's all about elevating your consciousness, elevating your energy so that you rise above, you know, the levels of fear, guilt, and shame. That those things don't inhibit you from being able to exist in your peace. You know, I hear men in here always talking about, I want peace. I want peace. If you don't have peace within yourself, there's absolutely no way you're going to have peace within a relationship. No peace within yourself. You're not going to have peace at a job. You're not going to have a peace at any aspect of your life unless you first have peace within yourself. Sure, I get irritated sometimes, but 99% of the time, I live a very peaceful existence. Do I have some things that stress me out sometimes? You would never know that I'm stressed out, that I have stresses. You would never know because I deal with them when I can. I don't worry about them when I can't. And then I deal with them again when I can. And if it goes south on me, oh, well, you know, it is what it is. And I keep it moving. Accountability is critical at this point. This is why people pass away from lack of responsibilities of self and accountability. Exactly. Exactly. Accountability. And most of us don't exercise accountability. Oh, there we go. Most of us don't. We look to blame. This is what they teach you in this Bible that you got. They had a scapegoat. We put all the sins of all the people on the goat and we killed the goat. Or I was going to kill Isaac, but there was a ram in the bush. Scapegoat. Ancient Israelites used to do child sacrifices. That's why Abraham had no problem. Oh, you want me to kill Isaac? All right. You gave me one. I'm sure you'll give me another. Oh, Sarai had a baby at 80 years old. You can probably have another. Take old Isaac up in here because Isaac getting on my nerves anyway. He was fully intended on killing that boy. But a scapegoat. People are always looking for a scapegoat. They're always looking for an excuse other than themselves. Right? My popcorn company hasn't become what I envisioned it to become because I put it in the wrong location back in 2015, and it's been struggle of ever since it was put in that place. And it has been the most difficult thing to come out of. Now it's given me the opportunity to open up the cigar lounge, which is something I really love. But even this cigar lounge, its growth or demise is based on me. Manny Rock. Oh, thank you for the $5 donation, Manny Rock. I really do appreciate that. Because see, that's how we're gonna get to that point where this is all I'm doing. And none of y'all have said what type of classes y'all would like to do. That's private classes, Zoom classes. I paid for the big Zoom account where you can have up to 1,000 people or something like that. So that we can, I know I'm gonna do it on financial literacy, but my financial literacy is different from most other people's because when I taught it the first time, it took 8 hours to teach it. So it'll be broken up. But thank you for the $5 donation. But we are, I definitely going to do a deep dive class into Kabbalion. I think everybody needs to understand the Kabbalion, and a deep dive into chakras. I think everybody needs to understand chakras and what it symbolizes. Whether chakras are real or not, the symbology of chakras is all that actually matters. It's all that actually matters. When you understand what the symbolism of chakras is, how you can elevate your consciousness by focusing in on those ideals and moving your life in that direction after you understand the law of cause and effect, after you understand the Kabbalion that just say it all in one instead of repeating all 7 hermetic laws. When you understand how those laws work, and then right on top, you stack an understanding of chakras. And then right on top of that, stack an understanding of the Tao. And then to know all the things of life that we need to do in order to move forward, you can have so much peace and accomplish whatever is success is to you. Not what success is to other people, to you. Like when I move to Puerto Rico, it's going to be successful. It's going to be an incredibly successful life. Because I ain't got to have millions. I got to have millions. I just need to be able to sit and do videos. Like having a cigar lounge is nice, but what I really love is this. Being able to teach. But I can never teach in a school again. I used to teach in college. I don't like it. Because then I got to teach what they want me to teach. To be able to go to the NASCAR lines and go to all these places and see the stuff and then bring it back and then like really give deep into it. That's what we're gonna be doing. That's what we're gonna be doing, y'all. That's what the build for me is right now. And then later on, there's a bigger build for the community. And I'm gonna teach other. Like I got a church now. They want to learn my program of how they can take their church and build it into something that actually affects the community the proper way, where they have a bank, where they have plazas, where they have their own schools. They have all these things and they're functioning where everybody, where the Black community is turning their dollar over and over and over and over within that community. To teach them to do it and they do it. And then, once people see something is successful, people like to copy it. Just like you go to any main street in America, they all pretty much look the same. If I get one church to successfully do it, I can get another and another and another. Even though I don't agree with their religion, I care about people. And if one does it and they become a mega, then others will do it and they'll become mega, and so on and so forth. That actually would change the Black community more so than anything else, because then we'll have power. It will have economic power. And with economic power, you get social power. You see what I'm saying? So, hold on for one. I technically have to open the lounge. So give me a second to just unlock the front door, turn these TVs on, and we'll go into the first person walk in the door. And then I have to let them have their space so that they can come in here and have their moments of my time.
The move that you make in the next day or so. So for you, which team do you think needs to be active?
Well, I'll give you a team that has been pretty relevant in the Western Conference here for a few years. We barely talked about it all season, and that's the Phoenix Suns. First of all, you've got the Jay Crowder business.
First of all, we're going to turn that down. Can't wait for the trade deadline to be over. So that, I got to turn that one on. And nobody still hasn't told me what they will be interested in as far as classes. The Kabbalion, the Tao, chakras, financial literacy. And maybe I'll do some promo videos on what those classes will be about, and then you'll see what your interest is. I don't care if there's one person in the class who will do the class. No, I do care. That's bullshit. Let me stop lying. I'd be pissed if there was only one person. I didn't know that one. Which one you didn't know? I just be talking sometimes, just going on. I don't even see the comment popped up, so my apologies, Mr. Albert. Okay, the Enuma Elish. Whoa, we're gonna get into some cuneiform, huh? Okay, can do a deep dive into the Enuma Elish. See, and it's stuff like that I would want to do a private class, because I wouldn't want the interruption of people with other questions outside of the information, and then two, the detractors. Oh, you go to hell. Oh, that Israelites did child sacrifice? Oh, yeah. Google, and let me tell y'all something. I learned this a long time ago. The quality of the question determines the quality of the answer. It's an old saying, but most people don't think about it. The reason why a lot of people, when they go and do research, they don't really get the answers that they're looking for, because they don't understand. They don't ask the question the right way. Now that one is not that hard. You can ask a question in a way such as, when did ancient Israelites perform child sacrifice? Like that whole statement. When did ancient Israelites perform child sacrifice? Or you can say archaeological evidence of ancient Israelites performing child sacrifice. You see what I'm saying? So if you ask for archaeological evidence of when ancient Israelites performed child sacrifice, you're more likely to get video or a PhD paper or something like that on that subject, right? And then if you put, now especially if you say a statement like that and put EDU or Yale or a particular school, Yale, Harvard, something like that, because then you'll get, if anybody's done any, and you might have to go past the first page, but then you start getting into where somebody did a PhD paper on that. And then that's going to have a lot of because when they do those kinds of papers, they have to do, they have to cite all their references. So then when they cite their references, you can go in, you can read those references, and you'll understand from those references. Because most of those references are not going to be the more popularized one. So you get detailed and deep into the classes, into the question. Classes on farming. Oh my God. My daughter Simone would love that. Her ambition in life is to move to Africa. Well, it was New Zealand, but now she wants to move to Africa. Not that I've swerved her into moving to Africa. So, and that's what she wants to do. She wants to farm. My pappy, he was a farmer, and my grandfather, I don't know who you are. He was more of a, I mean, he worked in the city, but he grew up with animals. I do know how to farm. I just don't like it, but we can. You know, I grew up with the garden in the backyard and how to garden and how to understand the farmer's almanac and understand, like, I don't know astrology as far as like, oh, you a Libra. Well, I'm a Libra. I'm a Libra, and my birth chart shows that my, you know, the sun and the aspects and all that. I know some of that stuff, but it's not a focus for me. But when it comes to farming, I can tell you a lot more about farming as it pertains to the stars and the solar system, more so than, you know, your own personal being. Like, if you was getting ready to plant a garden, like, what are we in? We in February. Where do you live again, Denise? What city? What state, or rather? Because all of that makes a difference. Now you can do hydroponic farming, above ground and underground, depending upon if you got the land for it, above ground. But you know, with your greenhouses and whatnot, and then you can do vertical farming. That way, you can have fruits and vegetables throughout the entire year. If you want to do regular earth farming, that's a little bit different. Depends on where you are, as to what you can grow, and depends on the soil. You might have to fertilize the soil in order to get it right. Now you might, or are you farming for medicine, where what we call weeds is often medicine. There's a young lady I know. She is a master herbalist. She can, like, she will knock that out the park. We did a video back in 2018. All kind of stuff. She know damn near every plant in Africa, America, and Central America. She probably know them all now. Vertical farming is cool. Yes. VT, is that Vermont? Oh yeah, Vermont, Jamaica. Gotcha. Vermont, Jamaica. Shit. Yeah, Denise, you the one who, well, you do animals, but you the one doing a class on farming. Need to have you in. Like, that's why I definitely got to get this thing connected so you could talk about that stuff, because you know more about the animal husbandry than I do. I can tell you that. Yeah, because Denise and her husband, they do some animal farming in Jamaica, but you talking about crops and all that. And so right now it's February, so I have to look and see when the vernal equinox is. When the vernal equinox happens, that's when you want to start getting ready to plant your seed. Plant the seeds if you're doing it in the ground. That's when you want to plant seed. But you always want to plant during a growing moon. Like right now, we're finishing off this full moon. So now from the next, I think, 13 days, 13 days, you don't plant seeds. All you're doing is getting the ground ready. And then I got to see when the spring equinox is. I said vernal equinox. When the spring equinox, I think that is still the vernal equinox. That's when you want to begin to, what did I do? That's when you want to plant that seed. The spring equinox is when the planting starts. Yeah, dandelions are good. Dandelion root, like if you do a dandelion tincture, it doesn't make you go to the bathroom more often, but when you go to the bathroom, you're gonna piss it all out. It's just for your urinary tract, so it cleans out your urinary tract, and you know you'll be in there. You remember like Austin Powers when he had to hold on to the wall? You'll be holding on to the wall. Got Nubian goats. Ooh. Yeah, but dandelion root, and let me tell you what got me on the dandelion roots. I was in the Marine Corps, and my colonel, I was giving him a report, and my man we knew he had kidney stones. He had found out like a week prior that he had kidney stones, and one of them decided they want to pass from his kidney into his bladder. And I saw this big old grown man fall on the floor, get in a fetal position, hollering in pain. Whew. Let me tell you, I was looking for everything natural that'll keep that system flowing better, and drinking plenty of water. What's up, Robert? How you doing? Because I am not getting a kidney stone. Now, we did a whole class back then on the different calcium deposits and other things that create kidney stones. And I'm like, hell no. Not going to be my life. But the tea made from dandelion is kind of, yep, I'm working on trying to like it, but it's difficult. So when I used to get when I get the dandelion root, I do it as a tincture. Like I got some in my bag over there. I do it as a tincture, so I can just drop it under my tongue, and then I drink something afterwards, to try to get that. Because it's not the best flavor, but hey, man, you saw that dude with the kidney stone. Bet your ass you wouldn't care what it tastes like. Go watch a video on somebody passing kidney stone. I bet you. Like, and then drinking, and I drink distilled water most of the time. Sometimes purified water, but I drink distilled water. Some people trip because like, you drink distilled water, like, yeah, but it's better for you, better for your system. Dirty job, but it's fulfilling when your crops are ready. Yeah, and I'm just not a farming kind of guy. Oh, you know the pain? Yeah. I had a lady tell me one time she's had a baby and she's passed a kidney stone. She said she'd rather she passed the baby. Did I say she had passed the baby and had a kidney stone? She had a baby and passed the kidney stone. She was saying that she would rather have a baby all natural than to ever pass another kidney stone in her life. That says a lot to me about, what them damn kidney stones do. So dandelion root is good for that. But what's even better is changing your diet so that you don't have all these calcium deposits and heavy metals building up in your system. Eating less and less meat. If you're diabetic or you're my damn doctor had a nerve tell me that I was pre-diabetic or some shit like that. Pre-diabetic. Because I went through this. I was eating way too much fruits and vegetables, like way too many fruits. I was killing myself with fruits right before I went and got this blood test. And so he was like, "Oh, you're not pre-diabetic, but you're sliding close to it." I was like, "I see you in 6 months, bro. Don't worry about it." But one thing I do know is that most people think that diabetes is about how much sugar you eat, but really diabetes is about how much meat you're eating. Because when you eat a lot of meat, and that meat is not absorbed into the proteins and amino acids, that meat it doesn't automatically turn to fat. It actually more of it turns into sugar, and it comes into the wrong type of sugar. Right. Type of sugar. Yeah, I know I was we are all pre-diabetic. This joker's gonna tell me I'm pre-diabetic. Pre. I ain't never heard nobody being pre. But yeah, actually cutting down your meat intake will actually control diabetes better, more so than your how much fruit and vegetables you consume or or the artificial raw sugars. Now be mindful of the sugar you put in your body, but simple sugars burn faster. So that's why fruits and vegetables they burn. Complex sugars like your carbohydrates, your rice, your beans, those sort of things, they burn slower. So you do have to be conscious of that. But if you're ingesting more than a palm of meat in your diet every time you eat, then no. And really, I only eat when I do eat meat, it's one meat meal. Now I was not eating meat hardly at all, but some young lady came into my life, and goddamn, boy, when I tell you she can cook, she whoo. So she messing me up a little bit. But boy, I tell you, she got jokers at the lounge telling me that I better not mess up the relationship because of the food that she done brought here. So I have been eating more meat than I normally would. I did tell her I got to cut it back, but she be cooking it so good. But yeah, they're in farming, so they changed the criteria for that and lowered it. Oh, I didn't even know that. But we do need to get into more farming. This is why I haven't brought this up to my lady. So don't none of y'all tell her. All right. She got off TikTok, but she slick tried to jump on Facebook. But but y'all don't tell her. She wants to be close to the beach in Puerto Rico. I actually want to be more inland in Puerto Rico. One of the reasons is because I want greenhouses while we're down in Puerto Rico. When we move down there, I want to set up some greenhouses, and it's just cheaper. But I want to have enough land that we can have greenhouses, and we can grow our own fruits and vegetables and flowers. Because she loves flowers, so I want to grow her some flowers. But I want to be able to grow our own fruits and vegetables as much as we possibly can. To have food so that we can have more natural foods. She thinks she's funny. Yeah, I saw you when you slick slid over to Facebook. And coffee grounds. But yeah, that's why I want to be more inland. We all should be growing some of our own food. So yeah, we'll do a deeper class about that. I got to find somebody else to come on with me, because I know that there'll be questions about farming and teachings about farming that's beyond my understanding. But I will do a lot more research about farming before we do an actual class. And these are classes that I'm saying they are not on here free of charge classes, because it's going to require a lot of my time and to put the class together. And I don't know if you guys have ever written curriculum before, but writing curriculum is not some easy thing that you can just throw it out there. When you write curriculum, there are certain guidelines and certain ways to do it to make the class work better for you. Inland is way better because the land near the beaches to me are not suitable for anything, but that's just how I see it. And I'm with you, Albert. I agree. It's not. Plus, when the storms come, it's better to be inland, because all the shit on the beach and close to the beach get washed away. You know what I mean? But if you're more inland, you're protected by the hills and the mountains a little bit more. That's just my thought. Just my thought. And I'm just getting y'all on team because her team is against me right now. But yeah, so we'll do a class on that. We'll do a class on the Numa Elish, but I got to write the curriculum for that. But it doesn't take me long to write curriculum. I used to do it. I used to write curriculum for the IT schools that I worked at and the colleges that I worked at. Well, the college that I worked at. That college is. And I had to write my own curriculum, so I had to go through a curriculum writing class in order to write the curriculum. So I began writing a curriculum for the Numa Elish. I'm writing one for the Dow, the Kabbalion. The Kabbalion one is going to be most difficult. Really. That's what we're doing, Angelina. But that one's going to be a little bit more difficult because that's also how you can figure out how long it's going to take for a class. So, you know, if I say that, okay, we're doing the Kabbalion and it is going to be a, 2-week class, a class that goes 2 or 3 weeks, 1 or 2 classes a week, starting from this time to this time, that's how I'll know how long the class is going to be. And then we'll figure everything out from there so that we can have those classes. Like I said, like when I wrote the curriculum for my financial literacy class, it takes 8 hours to teach that class. And it's an 8-hour class. But you get a lot of things. And right now is a great time for it because if you have the right 609 letter, you can actually get your slow pays taken off your credit report. How about that? Because used to, you couldn't do that, but a new law came out. And a lot of people done put some bullshit out there on TikTok about it. But the right 609 letter, you get that stuff written off. You want to get that score up because we do need to start buying our own. If you're going to stay in America, you need to get a mortgage on the house so you can lease it from the government. I stopped saying you buying a house because you ain't buying a house. You get a mortgage to pay for the house from whoever is leasing it from the government currently, and then you get to lease it from the government for a tax rate. But it is still the better financial decision if you're going to remain in a space for a long period of time. If you're going to remain in space for, plus 3 years, then it's better for you to have a mortgage on it than to have rent on it, because a mortgage is always going to be twice as much or a good number of hundreds of dollars more than what you will be paying. And you need to have more of that expendable income in your pocket so that you can then learn to invest that money. Because in my financial alchemy class, we also talk about what type of investments you need to be in as far as riskier ones and less risky ones, and then how you should range your money in a budget program that effectively will, one, save your relationship. Because if you do your budget the way I said, it creates this situation where there's no reason for you and your spouse to ever have financial arguments, which we know is one of the primary reasons why people break up, is financial arguments. You see, this is how everything is connected. Your money is connected to your relationship. Your relationship connected to your happiness, is connected to your peace, and your where you live is connected to all of that as well. And then how you make your money is connected to all of that as well. And your health is all connected to all of that as well. Always, but what you can offer. Always buy what you can afford if you lost it all and had to work to. I don't have my glasses on, so that's why I'm struggling with the reading sometimes. Lost it all and had to work at McDonald's. Never let them max you out. Yeah, no. Now, understand, a mortgage company or a bank, once you fill out your paperwork, are never going to give you a mortgage that's going to take you more than 40% of your income load. Your debt cannot be more than 40% of your income. Some people get in trouble because they lie about their income, right? Some people use predatory lenders who will let you do stated income, and people will lie about their stated income. Oh, I made $100,000, knowing good and well your ass make 50. So first you start with the person. You have to be completely honest when you do this, right? And then you have to be able to control your spending beyond. What does that look like? Control your spending beyond that, beyond what you're indebted to. Your rotational debt. They wanted me to buy a house that was $200,000, and I purchased a $60,000. Exactly. Just because they like the V, I'm a veteran, so I get VA. Just because the VA says that they can give me a $520,000 loan on a house, That doesn't mean I have to go out. And even if I qualify for it, and I don't have a lot of debt, so qualifying for that 520, I can, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna go get a $520,000 house. Now I will admit, we were looking at a house in Cantu, Benin. Was it Benin? Yeah, it was Benin. In Cantu, Benin, their house, 11 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. On the second level, you can look at the ocean. It was just $461,000. Now, normally, if you said, Renz, you're gonna get this house at $461,000, I tell you, hell no. No. My kid's grown, her kid's grown. Ain't nobody getting a house that no. But y'all, you can see the beach from the balcony. 11 rooms, 11 bedrooms. Oh, I can make do with 11 bedrooms. But it's also in Cantu, Benin. You see why y'all better stop just looking at America. You better look somewhere else. Yeah, you fixed it up, stayed in for 10 years and doubled your money. Exactly. That's how you do it. Some people don't have that kind of patience. And that's part of the financial alchemy, is having the patience to have a long-term vision for what you want to do, not the short term. People are comparing themselves to other people. Oh, they got a brand new house over here in this part of town that's all schwanky. No. I know a dude, he moved into the cheapest house he can possibly find on this side of town because up the street is one of the better schools in Atlanta, and he moved into what he can afford a little bit. He moved out of a larger house, a house that was almost 3,000 square foot to a house that was 1,200 square foot, just so his kids can be in a better school, because that was the main thing for him. Now he bought the house, he's fixing it up, because when the kids graduate, he want to be able to then flip the house and sell it. Yeah, he dealt with folks calling him names, saying he lived a lot in the ghetto. But he's like, it's mine. I'm with you. I lived in this part of Atlanta called Union City for a minute, because at the time that's what I could afford. Nobody want to live in Union City. Right off Flat Shoals. Nobody want to live down there. But it was what I could afford. I wasn't going to live where I couldn't afford. Hell, I lived in the back of my popcorn shop for 6 years because it was what I could afford. How about that? People talked about me, bro, but I didn't give a damn. I did not care. So if you look at some of my old videos and you see that I'm always in the popcorn shop, it's because I was living in that damn popcorn shop. Because I'm looking at what I'm building. I wasn't looking at what I was looking at. Nah. And then I didn't care what people had to say. And you can't care about what other people have to say when it comes to your finances. We moved to Puerto Rico, we could be living in a 2-bedroom, nice little house. We chilling. We good. Ain't gotta have all the stuff. I just want some land so we can do some vertical farming. And some, I mean, like, whoa, come in the house like, look what we grew. You ready to snap these peas? I don't even know if you can do that. That just reminded me of my childhood. I don't know if y'all had those families where it was harvest time. What was that like? I think it's like October. Like, yeah, in October, early November, something like that. Where the grandparents, you're harvesting, and it's like all these damn fruit, vegetables, and meats and shit, and you packing and you snapping peas and shucking corn and doing all this stuff and writing it on there, and it's divided amongst the family, and grandma was taking all these fruit and she making preserves, and you got a whole big old Pharaoh full of preserves of different stuff, and you got freezers full of meat and all this stuff. That was part of my childhood. And shucking the corn was fine. Going out there one year, we had to go pick the goddamn corn. No machinery. Picking it by hand. God. Woo. when you first start, you looking at that whole field of corn. You like, man, you crazy, granddaddy. And then you look at his 6'4" big old mitt hands, and you just start pulling them ears off. Well, chopping them, chopping the stalks, chopping them stalks, then collecting the stalks, then shucking them, then pulling the ears off, then take them home. And you think that, oh, whoo, and then you show up and you got to shuck all that shit. That's why I don't want to be a farmer. I have to be one of them big farmers with all the big equipment. Because other than that, that's some bullshit. But some people like it. Some people like it. What else we got? Anything else? Because now we just in the whatever the hell you want to talk about until somebody show up. Or actually, it can't be till somebody show up because I got a couple other videos I need to shoot. But yeah, we do a lot of that. So we're gonna see if y'all can. But yeah, farming is gonna be a good. That'll be a good subject. We can get some more people, get some more information. We're gonna talk about farming, and that's gonna have to be real kind of soon. Some people are in a position to get started now. Other people you're gonna have to wait. They're gonna have to wait because I saw a greenhouse. Matter of fact, I saw a greenhouse about 2 weeks ago, and it was a small little greenhouse, but and it was big enough for if you only have like 2 or 3 people in a family. And it was like $1,200 for the greenhouse, already built. And then they just drop it off at your house. You have to see where got to look at the direction of this pathway of the sun, and how you're, considering how your house is built. Like for me, my house, our house would be, should have to be in the front yard to the right in order to have a greenhouse. So it'll look like a shed in the front yard because of the way the sun is and where the trees are. Might not be the prettiest thing, but I wouldn't care. I don't give a shit. I just be concerned about my nosy. I got some nosy neighbors, nosy community. Ooh. Yeah. Be walking by like, what y'all got going on? I had to put a lock on that joint where I live. Because in my neighborhood, there's a lot of this Black, Arab, and Ethiopian. So them jokers be like, hey, what you growing in there? And my lady opened the door and it's the Ethiopian or Arab shit, they're going to start talking to her because they're going to think she one of them. They're going to think she one of them. And when she go to the market, they be looking at her like, hey girl, I know you one of us. You one of them Ethiopians or Eritreans. But yeah, so we'll do some farming and stuff like that, and some finances. And we're gonna do the Enuma Elish. I like that one. Actually, the Enuma. So we're gonna finish up Genesis next week. Next week will be the last 2 chapters of Genesis. It'll be 49 and 50. Now I know some of you guys want to continue and go into Exodus. Now the Enuma Elish is gonna have to be a paid class. We're gonna continue in the Exodus. We'll have to do Enuma Elish as a secondary class. But I will say, if you haven't seen this whole series of what's wrong with the Bible, starting with Genesis 1 and all the way up to next week's video of 50, you should do that before you take the class of the Enuma Elish, because when we do the Enuma Elish, you will see a lot of the parallels. Now, in the first chapters, when I did the first chapters of Genesis, I referenced the Enuma Elish a lot because those stories are found there. But then there's a lot more in the Enuma Elish. Like, for example, most people think that the idea of Lilith, kick ass, I'll be out of town, but I'll watch it when I get home. Okay, cool. Most people think that this story of Lilith comes from the Jewish Cabal, and Adam and Now, some people think that on the sixth, when it says on the 6th day, he created man and woman and told them to be fruitful and multiply and have diminished and replenish the earth and have dominion over all the birds in the sea and all that kind of stuff. Most people think that that's where Lilith comes from, but it's not. That's not where Lilith comes from. Lilith actually comes from the Enuma Elish. In the Enuma Elish, which has the Epic of Gilgamesh in it, you have Gilgamesh. You have the Lulutu. The Lulutu is a tree and a spirit. There's a Lulutu tree, and then there's the Lulutu spirit. The Lulutu spirit is the demon that existed on the tree with the damn crow. And one of the trials of Gilgamesh was he had to take the tree down and create a throne for Ilnana, I believe. And yes, I got jokes for Ilnana. And when he accomplished the task, the Lulutu went out into the desert and would draw children out into the desert, would draw men out into the desert through seduction, and would kill the men and draw the children out when they would get lost and kill the kids. And that's where they got the idea that Lilith, the Lulutu Lilith, was this female demon that would seduce men and kill children. The Hebrews adopted that into a Lilith story about Lilith being his first wife, but then she didn't want Adam just being on top all the time. She said, we was created at the same time, so you ain't gonna be on top all the time. I want to be on top. I want to, she want to ride. And so Adam complained to God about Lilith. Lilith was cast out of the garden. Lilith then was turned into a demon, and she was turned into a demonic spirit, and then she had babies. They say that she had babies with Cain. All right. Some say Cain, some say she had with the serpent, and those children became the demons, which is kind of messed up since the demons supposedly existed prior to, because with the war in heaven, then you see what I'm saying? But she had babies. That's why there's confusion in this stuff. She had the babies. She created all the demons. And then those are the ones who go out and they, if a child died of crib death, they said it was Lilith because she was still pissed off and jealous of Eve. And Eve was made to be docile. That's why she came out of Adam's rib. That's the original story that the Hebrews used to tell, but it all stems from the Enuma Elish with the Lulutu. I think I did a video about that some months ago. But when you talk about the Enuma Elish, you'll get more of those kind of things that we didn't really cover in great detail in the earlier in Genesis, when we did Genesis 1 and 2. But you'll get those then. And I first started this series like a year ago, 2 years ago. Almost, a little over a year ago. But I skipped. It's like I might do one video, then be a month or two before I do another one. But so that whole story, that Enuma Elish, we'll get into those kinds of things. It also have your flood story with Utnapishtim, from the Atrahasis. You'll have that whole Utnapishtim and how he had the 6-day flood, and he had the seed of every animal and every plant on the boat from the flash flood that happened. And all of this is based on what actually happened with the Younger Dryas period. And it's two different stories. You got two different things supposedly happened at the Younger Dryas period. One, and it's a whole bunch of stuff. You had the ice shelf for this last ice age. Then when the ice shelf melted, you had the whole flooding. Then you also had you got stories like from the Zulus who were saying that the earth was covered by this mist, but then the moon came into orbit, started regulating the atmosphere with the currents, and then that created a flash flood as well. So you got all these different flash floods. But the moon was an interesting part of it, that it's the Zulu story, and there's a Native American tribe that also had, and a South American tribe, and somebody else had a story of talking about before. The Greeks had stories about before the night sky originally didn't have the moon, and they remember when the moon came into rotation with the earth. So you can't believe I'm still on. Yeah, nobody showed up at the lounge yet, Kiki. So I'm still running my mouth. Weren't you supposed to be down here this week, Kiki, in Atlanta? I could swear it's supposed to be like this week. I'm probably not wrong, but I remember something. But so that whole, this is where they get their flood stories. But they told it first in the Atrahasis or the enumeration. Then it was adopted by. Then you have a 3,000 year period of it being adopted from the Sumerians to the Arcadians, the Assyrians, then Arcadians, and there's people in between all of that. The proto this, proto that, and then into the Babylonians, and then from the Babylonians into these people. So I'm now going to have to cut it off because I see a car pulling up and I know whose car that is. So we are going to end this. Actually, if that's who I think it is, I could continue, but he would get on. But that'd be rude. I'm gonna see who it is first. But okay, I was supposed to be there last week. My birthday was Wednesday. Oh, So you better say that you didn't show up, and that's why you didn't come back. That's the only excuse I would take. Because if you came into my city and didn't stop by, we would have some problems, young lady. Some problems. Have to cuss you out a little bit, fuss at you. But yeah, is that somebody over here that looks like? I don't know. Go ahead. But it is time to get off here because I do have another video that I need to shoot about reparations, and I don't want. That's not going to be a live. That's just going to be me shooting it. I didn't come down because of the rain. My city. It's my city because you don't live here no more. Well, this week is a great week. Gonna have some 67-degree weather this week. Shit. I just wish I can get out on my bike and ride. But we're gonna finish this off. I appreciate you guys for being here for this whole time. Y'all have a great day. Remember, tomorrow we're doing relationships on the art of tantric love. What up, Greg? So tomorrow on TikTok, go to the Art of Tantric Love channel. We're gonna do. We're talking about relationships there. I'm stealing some of the questions from the podcast that I did with this other young lady from Sportsadelic. She will post that in a few days, and it'll be on this YouTube channel. It'll be on the Art of Tantric Love Facebook group. Support those channels. Support that group, and it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to be talking about the fact that men having these jacked up ass ideas about they want a relationship with a woman, but until they get the woman, they don't want her acting like a woman. So you really want to do then. Also, there's a couple other questions that we talked about, a couple of subject matters in that same vein that we talked about concerning men and how they think about having a relationship and having peace. So go to the Art of Tantric Love on TikTok, Facebook group, but on YouTube, we're going to be right here on this channel until the Art of Tantric Love video channel on YouTube gets big enough. So go ahead and subscribe to that channel if you're on YouTube. But we're going to have the videos on here until we get enough people that I can do lives on that channel. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration. And we are about to be out because Greg came into the building. You should have came earlier, man. You'd have enjoyed the conversation.
Oh, really? You had some people commenting back and stuff?
Of course, but you could have added